Ladies and gentlemen, everything is broken because Sheard appeared a tiny bit late, and I need to change all of our faces on the stream. Love to see it.
I was playing a game.
You were feeding. That's
Not
what
wrong.
happened.
I went 3 and 9.
Nice. But yes, welcome back to Tales from the Dark Rift. I believe this is episode 11. This episode is called Into Darkness because is it Into Darkness? I've forgotten. Through Darkness, something like that. There's something to do with darkness, I'm sure. Through Darkness. Yes, we had Into Darkness the session before last, and this is Through Darkness. I'm inventive, I swear. But yes, so cool. Who would like to do the recap?
Me, I was not in the last session.
You were not there.
I think we traveled on from the river, by the river, and then we came across
for a while.
Yeah, we came across a lonely and what was it?
Angry.
Angry,
Yeah.
and it was a little bit like scary, but eventually the angry killed the lonely, and we got past the angry, and then we got to the bridge that could help us across the river, and then we met. I don't know what their names were. Don't know if we got their names, but we met two lads, and we got magical items.
All right.
Wait.
Yes.
Sheard. Sorry.
So Saril and Sekbe were not here, which means we have some dreams to get through first, straight away, and then we have the giving of potential gifts to happen. So first up, just gonna roll a d2. That's not how you roll a d2. It's gonna be Saril. Cool. All right, Saril. You have been used to having no dreams recently, and it's been kind of an odd situation of like now that you guys took the time to try and settle down for your like trance very briefly during this night on the edge of the River Lethe. As you settle down, half of your party is still keeping watch during this. I just realized my music is still on, isn't it? Oops, that's bad. Oops. Yikes. That's fine. But as you settle down for your rest, you find yourself actually drifting off into a dream, which is kind of odd, since for a couple of days you haven't had any dreams whatsoever. But you find yourself relaxed and calmed and put into an odd position once again of you're sat across the table, as per usual, a little bit of tea in front of you on the table, except across the table from you is a human man, and you can feel anger beginning to well up in your stomach. I don't care what you think you want. You may be the king of Sorogar, but that doesn't mean anything here. You are...
I don't know what Sorogar is.
Yeah, you can roll a history check if you'd like. Alright, 14. You know that before Jaskor was Jaskor, there was a kingdom called Sorogar. Around the same region that Jaskor was. And the like lineages changed of like a lot of times between all of them, but the lineage of Sorogar kind of turned into the lineage of Jaskor, then got killed as Jaskor was going later, and then a new lineage took its place. That's about all you really remember. But as you're like sat there across from him, he kind of puts his hand up and goes, I need your help, Carillion. I need your help. And you're one of the few people in this world, you, Calthriad, maybe Jaraxxus, I don't know. You're the few people in the world I can trust. Okay? I need your help. And you just feel this anger in the pit of your stomach, knowing that he's pulling you into something that you just... As royalty, you shouldn't need to be pulled into. You shouldn't have to care about this. This isn't your duty. It's his. The people of his country hate him. That has nothing to do with you. But you know that on the same token, Thorogard trades plenty with you, and their help is often rather nice, even if it's sparse. I can't help you with the people. They're not going to like you. There's not much I can do about that. You can stay here in Marilia, under my watch if you'd like. Though I can't say that any assassins are not going to be able to get through, because, well, I honestly don't give enough of a shit. It's on you staying alive, and it's on you what you do with your country. I have more important things to attend to. I have a meeting with a Fae. Now be gone. You see he kind of clicks his neck, slowly stands up, and then goes, "She's not going to help you. You know that, right? Going to help me more than you have already. Get out of my face. Please." And you see he walks off. And with that, your dream comes to an end.
Jaraxxus, by the way.
Jaraxxus, by the way. Alright. And now, the Sekbay dream. Okie dokie. So, Sekbay, you fall into a sleep a little bit earlier than some of the other people in your party, because you need to sleep for longer, to be honest. And as you fall into your sleep, it's a bit of an uneasy sleep. You have the feeling of like anxiety as you do, but not anything like crazy. Mostly just like as it turned into the quote-unquote day, it's mostly just like a deep, like, seated, just kind of vague sadness more than anything. The anxiety had mostly dropped. And as you fall into your sleep, you hear a familiar voice. "Ah, Sekbay. It's good to see you again. It's been a little while."
It certainly has, and much has happened in that time, unfortunately.
And it was an interesting situation. I found it very difficult to contact you while you were in that odd town of yours. No clue. Well, I have a slight inkling on what might be going on, but I think it's a little bit more interesting if you find that out for yourself at some point. While you were gone, I kind of got a little bit bored, and I decided to curate a very specific story for you. Simply because this story, how do I put this, may have some connections to something you may wander upon soon. Well, I'll let the story speak for itself, if you don't mind, then.
Go ahead. Thank you.
He kind of fades from your vision, and you find yourself stood in front of a beautiful, blonde-haired, like glowing blue-eyed woman. And as you look at her, for a second she seems extremely normal, and then you notice on her back 2 large white wings, and instead of feet, she seems to have these clawed, like bird-like feet. She kind of looks to you and goes, "This is an odd situation, but it is a pleasure to get to tell my story. I am Queen Shendelzer of Jaskor. I was not born a queen. I married into royalty. But, as it often ends up, you take up the mantle that is thrust upon you. The king, he was perhaps not the love of my life, but a necessary love and care for me. And I did care for him. And while he wasn't quite anything like any of the people I knew from the Eyrie, he was quite a gentleman. We did not have a long time together, and then he was taken from me. Assassins in the night. Poisoned blades, barely a couple cuts, and he was gone within minutes. I knew exactly who had done it, of course, but I had no proof. My sister, older than me, angry that she only had the Eyrie to herself and not the whole kingdom, wanted to bring me pain. She often spoke when we were younger that if I was to outdo her, she would rip my wings off and cast me down from the Great Eyrie. It was all talk, but as she obviously showed, at the point it stops being talk. I required vengeance. No one takes what is mine without payment. I spent years. I hunted down every single assassin. I paid them, bribed them, silver-tongued them, and then afterwards got all the information I required and killed them one by one. There were 7 in total, and all of them led back to my sister. It was obvious, but it was a sadness knowing that she would betray me in this way. I spent several more years biding my time, and during this time I followed a couple clues to an interesting situation. In the Eyrie, deep inside the mountain, none of my people go there. Our fear of the inside of spaces being wingless is too much for anybody, but I refuse to let it define me. I went deep inside the mountain and I found a set of standing stones. The standing stones opened a portal where a great behemoth came out. He looked like a minotaur, similar, but he was different, stronger, more terrifying. And his first words were, "I will take this land from you and burn it for my father." You see, he wasn't much for talking. Yet, somehow, his power was taken from him in an instant. He collapsed in front of me and I took pity on him, nursed him back to health. As time went on, me and him, we fell in love. It was an odd love, but it was a love nonetheless. You see, he was not from our world. He was from another world. His father, a conqueror of everything that has ever become and ever will be. The Underlord. But he was different. And he had been betrayed. And the blame of the betrayal of his father was placed on him. And his name was Maxalius. But he was secretly a kind soul. As I spent time nursing him back to health, he took a liking to me as well, and I knew exactly what I needed to do. I knew that I couldn't ever marry him. The people would never have it. But that didn't mean that I couldn't care for him. Together, we spent months planning, and we stormed the Eyrie. We killed all who stood in our way. And then I appointed Maxalius the leader of the Eyrie while I was gone. My sister I made sure not to kill. She deserved worse. Her wings ripped from her, in a cage she could never escape from. A ceiling open to the cage, of course. She would never be able to get out without her wings. It was a good justice. It was Something. But while I say that, it didn't feel like it. When it comes down to it, there is simply no justice in murder. And my life for the rest of it was uneventful and rather depressing in some ways. Knowing that the true love of my life could never be shown to the world and he would outlive me. And then knowing that the Eyrie, the people I cared for, all of them were willing to betray me for my sister. I did my best to be a good queen. And when my son grew up, old enough to continue my title, I happily passed on into the next life. And your vision fades as you see her wistful smile kind of disappear from in front of you. What did you think of that one then?
Rather interesting you choose to show it now. Say that it may come up soon.
Well,
The standing stones she mentioned are rather curious as well, I would say.
they are indeed. Now, I mentioned that briefly that some of my teeth had found their way across the world. I do believe you may be close to one. I just wanted to warn you of that. If you were to want to potentially utilize its power, note that they are not the be-all and end-all, and they are definitely flawed in their own ways. You have two choices. You can either cast it into the ground and summon the creature that it calls for, or you can implant it into your mouth and gain part of their powers. The creature it calls for may or may not help you. It depends on the creature. But they won't last for long.
See. Interesting.
With that information, I do believe it is our time to go. I hope to see you again soon.
Very well. I hope you don't get my story just yet, shall we say.
I hope it is a long and interesting story, Sekbei. And with that, you see it dissipates in a red mist. Back to the dark, tiring, depressing Shadowfell. You all awaken. Yay! And over the course of the next day, night, you manage to make it down the river to the bridge that stands there. As you make it to the bridge, you see those two creatures that are like existing under goals. There's a smaller man with a single like glowing eye in the middle of his head. He has a chain holding the larger creature and then a staff in his hand, and you see his like body is kind of gnarled and a bit deformed in places. The larger creature is hulking over him, again a single glowing eye in his head, and basically what happened is that he the larger creature opened its hand and several items were in the hand, and one by one the smaller creature beckoned you up to come collect your items. The final two being the two of you. The smaller creature points to Saril, beckons him forward.
Yeah, I come forward.
There is a cost for everything, but this may be interesting for you.
What would the cost be?
So you've seen the rest of your party members give up an item that they care about, but not necessarily one of like monetary worth, basically. That's the kind of thing, like, some people tried to, like, potentially, I think somebody tried to give something that was, like, not necessarily directly tied to them as much, but was, like, valuable, and they were just like, no, something that is valuable to you is what's important. But you see the creature holds a pair of braces, like things that you'd put on, like, your wrists.
Right. What do I have that's valuable on me? I give him one of my long swords that I got from my mother.
And why is this valuable to you? He slowly collects it with one hand.
It was a gift from my mother after I trained enough.
Fascinating.
I've been holding onto it ever since.
You see, he places it down in the large beast's hand, and the beast chuckles again. Always weapons, it seems. Always weapons. And he grants you these 2 braces. It is this. I posted it in the chat before, but this is what it is exactly for you to see. Yes,
Yeah, that one's really fucking insane.
they are pretty. They're all pretty good.
No. Okay, that's crazy.
After he's done with that, you see the creature turn a gnarled, clawed finger towards Sekbei and point. And finally, the little one. Please, come forward.
He will step forward.
You see, the large creature takes all of the weapons, seems to put them behind his back, and then they seem to disappear. And then the large creature, kind of standing there, puts a hand under his jaw and plucks out this very it's not necessarily his jaw. It looks like it's a large part of his a mask, effectively. But he puts it underneath, and you see him pull out a small humanoid tooth, literally the size of it looks about the size of a normal tooth, except it seems to have some small blue stones in the tooth, and he this large hand places it very gently into the hand of the smaller thinner one at the front. He holds it and goes, "We believe this may have some interest to you." And he holds it out to you. But of course, and then he closes his hand slightly. There is a cost. What are you willing to pay?
It's got to do this to me. There we go. Would you perhaps mind if I returned the question to you?
It depends what that question is.
How much should something like that be worth to me?
It would be worth your wildest dreams. But unfortunately, it is not easy for me to crystallize and capture those.
God, I'll murder you.
As you're taking your time to decide, the large creature behind kind of slowly puts his fist down into the ground and makes a little bit of a thud sound and goes, "Time grew short. She's watching." The quicker you do this, the better. If she catches true wind of what's going on, it would
Very well.
spoil everything.
He will lower his backpack and reach into it and pulls out a rather thin book along with a few sheets of papers, and then will thrust it at him.
He
Everything I've recorded since I began writing. I assure you that shall be enough.
Excellent. Excellent indeed. He takes it, places it in the hand of the larger creature. The larger creature closes his hand and goes, "Finally, something that's not a weapon. I will enjoy this. As he puts it behind his back and it seems to disappear. The smaller creature,
It helps at
Holds.
all. I can consider a weapon.
the smaller creature pauses and then goes, "Of course, they always do." And he places the small tooth in your hand. Be wary. This next leg of your journey may be your most difficult. He turns his gaze to Zemnis. As you get further and closer to the Queen, you will find yourself losing yourself. It is natural, of course. And then he turns his, beam eye, basically, to the rest of you. None of the living may gaze upon the dead without consequence. I warn you of that. Will always be watching. And you see him take a step back, and as he does, he almost just fades into the darkness. The large creature tilts his head. Always watching. And also, he takes a step back and turns into tendrils of darkness that dissipate from in front of you.
Well, that wasn't creepy at all. Hello, fuckboy. I mean, keep
I'm
going.
kind of concerned, but I'm getting used to it, to be honest.
Hello.
Not sure that's a good thing.
It is very much not a good thing.
What time is it right now? Because
It is.
we travelled during the day.
No,
We
slept
slept during the day and
Traveled
travelled
during the day.
during the night. And we got
Yeah.
here, it should be turning day, right?
Not quite.
Yes.
You're like midway
No?
through. You're near the tail end of the night, but there's still a little bit
Okay.
of time.
Okay.
As you guys are having like this thought and conversation, Mariska, now in her small form again, reappears on Zemnis's shoulder and goes, "Oh come on! I didn't get anything. Are you kidding me?" Of course.
Aren't you like some godlike being?
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Well, I wouldn't quite say godlike, but close enough. But that doesn't mean I don't like gifts. Come on, everybody likes gifts.
Even really know if what I got is a gift, to be honest. Alice is going to sort of like scratch at my mark on his shoulder now.
Well, you can consider them what you want, but let's be honest, they're marginally beneficial. That's good enough.
I mean, I can see better
Well,
now, which is
Speaking
weird.
of gifts, and I kind of shuffle into my bag and I pull out this like hollowed tusk of like a wild boar,
Yep.
and it's like this used to represent my bond with Iliac. Whilst I still see him in good light, may it represent something new now. And I like hand it to Mariska.
A gift offered daily.
Yes.
Interesting. You can hold on to it for now. She kind of taps it with a finger, and you see this small little thistle grow from the inside and begin weaving its way around like the inner part of the tusk and grows its way to like almost making like a small little tiny little bramble bush just peeking out of the top of this tusk. I'd hold on to it. You can enjoy that whenever it decides it wants to be a thing. They're fickle.
Thank you.
Is that a trampoline in your room? Jikro.
So, yeah, what? I'm at my dad's house. It's my sister's trampoline, yes.
Nice.
I see.
Wait, do you have a trampoline indoors?
Yes. I do not. My sister has.
Also,
Okay,
good
so
night, bye, bro.
we've spent we've spent a little bit of time here, but I'm not sure what time it is. If we're moving away from a river, should we wait here for daytime to sleep?
I'd say we can stay nearby, but not right at the bridge.
We should cross, and then I think we should try
Let's
and move.
cross and move like 100 feet up or so.
Yeah,
I
that
would
sounds
say.
like
Yeah,
a good
that
idea.
sounds good. Let's do that.
Okay. I must ask
Yeah.
one question before we continue. Sekbe, are you doing anything with the tooth?
I did whisper it to you.
Oh, you did.
I don't know if you caught
I
it. Sorry.
did not see this. Give me a second. Let me see if it pops up. Ah. Okay.
I don't know if that'll do anything, but that's where he's keeping it.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Interesting.
He's not going to use it yet. No.
Okay. Cool. Sounds good. But yes, so you all cross the bridge, and as you pass the threshold of this side of the river, you see the world that was already dark seems to get darker. Literally, to the point where, for most of you, seeing in this darkness is very difficult, even with your dark vision. Effectively, mechanics-wise, this has gone from dim light to pure darkness. Pretty much everywhere. And so you're all able to see it as if it was dim light, but effectively you can barely see, like, you can only see people's outlines, and you can see in grays more than anything.
Okay.
So is this
So
what
wait.
humans do?
How does this affect me? Because I do have Devil's Sight on
Yeah.
top of.
Yeah, so it's still
Dark
everything,
vision.
everything you can see. You can still see fine. It doesn't necessarily make it like any better than dim light right now, but effectively, like, you're the same as everybody. Just it's a little bit longer for most of it, and you still see in grays pretty much.
Sure.
Did this
Does
happen the
the
moment we crossed the bridge?
Mark
Yes.
of the Shadowfell help
Okay.
me see any better, or is it just normal dark
It's
vision?
it's gone for, rather than you being in pitch black darkness, you can actually see in dim light. As if it
Okay.
was dim light. That's the big difference here.
Mm.
It is not, and for
Well,
you, it's not
this
like a
is
small
strange.
change. Like, it's not just like okay, I can see a little bit better in the darkness. Here, you'd feel like right now, you should be in pitch black darkness and see absolutely nothing, and yet you can see, like, outlines of things and like vague grey shadings on everything, like, quite well.
Can I walk back the bridge?
Yes. You walk back onto the
See
bridge,
that-
and it seems to change back to this dim light, normal as it was.
Can I walk back and look across the bridge?
Mm-hmm. You
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it like all the dim light?
You walk back and walk across the bridge, and it seems like it's dim light over there as well. Like, both sides seem the same type of, like, darkness as you cross over the bridge.
Okay, I'm just
If
gonna
that
cross
makes
back
sense.
to the rest of the party then.
Effectively, what I'm saying is when you're on the left side of the bridge that you were at the beginning, everything seems like it's only dim, and you can see it like normal-ish. And as you pass to the other side, everything goes from being dim to pure darkness, and you can only see it in dim light. Which makes things harder.
I think you should just sleep for now. It's getting hard to see. I'm not really used to this. It's really weird for my eyes.
Do I still have like the sense of like day and night when
You
I'm
still
in
have
that
the sense
darkness?
of day and night, but it's not the darkness that is the change, obviously. It's the feelings and the emotions building up in you. Because as you get like further and further into the night, they kind of build more and more and more until eventually they just stop, and it switches from like the anxiety and the fear to the sadness and the depression.
So they just get a lot more intensified
Yeah.
on this end.
They slowly get no, even like by that I mean like it doesn't feel any
Oh.
different here than it did the other side. The anxiety
just sight.
that you feel is still just as bad. It's just your physical sight seems to go darker.
Okay.
Roll me a history check, Zemnis.
What?
Okay, yeah, you're not. The darkness makes you a little bit unnerved to some extent, but it's not that big of a deal, and you're not really sure why.
Well, maybe we could wait on the other end of the bridge. I'd rather have a bit more field of vision
That
while
seems
we're
like
just
a good
waiting.
idea.
Okay.
So we can wait like until day, like 100 feet above the river on the lighter side, so to say.
All right.
Yep.
Cyril, can you roll me a d20? Dread
Yeah.
dice 10.
Boom.
Okay.
Nice.
Another dread dice to add to the
I'm
collection.
actually not sure if it's better to have it now or after we go across the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Hey man, talk to the dice, not to me. Oh, you
I am going to walk over to Sekbe.
Well,
Did that book have a lot in it then?
hey. Hey, Dumbo.
As I
Dumbo.
say, it contained about everything I'd written since pretty much I learned to write.
Rage.
Seems like a lot.
I found an archfey.
You have found an archway.
That seems like a lot to give up. I'm almost
don't-
glad I.
Sorry, go.
I'm almost glad I didn't have my locket on me. Losing that
Dumbo
would have been
looking
sad.
nice.
I don't keep much in terms of physical things. It was that, my focus, my spells, which seems like a rather poor idea down here, or the only weapons I hold on me.
I gave away a dagger myself. I'm going to pull out the other dagger I have, which was identical to the one I gave. Feel sort of sad about losing one of these. I've had them for the past 2 years. They were made by a friend, but I think this. I'm gonna sort of hold my shoulder again. This may be more useful. I'm not really sure.
If it's anything even remotely on the same level as what I got, then it probably will be rather useful.
As you
I can only hope.
as you hear,
Do you
like,
know
as you continue this conversation, you do hear a voice very briefly, Sekbe. You hear a voice say, "Help me, help me, please."
Only
Can
separate.
Just Sekbe has this.
I try and see where it's coming from?
Roll me a perception check.
While he's doing that, Rage, and while this is all going on, can I be like scouting around, seeing if I can see anything in the distance? Because it is night.
Sure.
God.
Perception.
I hate everything. I did that and talked to myself. No. Okay, it went down by one.
Cool. Sekbe, you kind of focus and you hear, like, you try and like see where this voice is coming from, and the closest thing that you can recognize to the way this voice is, like, in your head, is that it sounds like the kind of thing when Valis would like connect with you, basically, your minds, right? And that's the closest that you can like think of. Like, that's the closest feeling that you have, except it doesn't feel as like disjointed when he does it. It feels very like real, and you feel the emotions behind the voice.
He will quickly look over at Valis, and I suppose that wasn't you.
What? What are you talking about? Can I be looking around at the surroundings as well?
Perception check. While you're doing this, you take a quick moment, Zemnis, to take a look around, and you kind of just, you're doing your best to try and focus on like your surroundings and focus on the things that are around you, but you kind of lose your bearing, like not necessarily your bearings too much, but you kind of just, you do like a quick once over more than anything, and then go, yeah, it's probably okay. I'd rather just stay with the group rather than go a little bit too far and take a look too far, kind of thing. And so you kind of just go, yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to take a quick glance, and that's good enough. But it doesn't seem like you notice anything. Valis, you don't notice any voices? You don't notice anything too out of the ordinary here?
I'm just sort of looking around for like, in case the angry came back or anything like that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the angry has come back. It's usually very loud, so
Sickbay will sort of mutter a, just me then. And then raises his voice, not to the point where he's like shouting, but to the point where it just carries a bit more and
yeah.
Can I just like take a quick
is
rinse?
anyone
by the
out
way?
there?
What was that? Zemus?
Oh, no, nothing. I Segbay cut out, so I'll say it after.
Okay, cool.
He'll just he will just sort of what is it that you need then?
And Sekbei is just saying this to thin air.
Yeah.
Sekbei, are you okay?
Something well. If I say I'm hearing voices, I don't imagine that makes my case any better.
Do we splash him with water for that?
I
Don't.
would suggest it.
I don't think so.
He will.
Also,
He will step away from the. He will very much step away from the river.
Aren't we already
Can
like
I go
100
next
feet
to
away?
the river to like cleanse myself though?
Yep, easy enough. As you ask this question and have this short little conversation, you again hear this voice, seemingly inside your head. And the voice says, "Just want to help. Let me help. I'll help you, and you can help me. Help me, help me, help me." And you see, as you're like focusing, a small glint from your arcane focus.
He will pull it out, and then sort of like gesture it off in front of everyone. People see it's like sort of a leaf-shaped rock with a bit of grass tied around it in places, and noticeably the tooth he recently got embedded in the center. And then I'm hearing some kind of voice in a similar way to how nods his head at Valis. You do your whatever it is you do. Some of you are much more in
Mental
tune
limbo.
with this sort of thing. Yes. If any of you can figure out exactly what it is, that would be appreciated. But and then he'll sort of once again raise his voice to carry. I refuse to
Can
accept
I-
help from some
Reach
unknown
over and
source like this.
take it. Just hold my hand out to Sekbei to take the thing.
He will move it over to you, but he's like keeping a grip on it. He'll allow you to touch it, but not take it. That makes sense.
Okay, can I touch it and see if there's any like mental shenanigans going on with it?
You touch it and you try and focus, and it just feels cold. Very cold and very. Well, it almost feels like it kind of drains you a little bit. You can feel the emotion of this item as you're holding it. It just feels like sadness.
I am not sure what's going on with that. However, I feel any more attempt to try and connect with it would be a bad idea for me.
Can I try?
Yeah, I assume you're giving it the item, yeah?
Yeah.
Alice?
Yeah, I step away.
Okay. You give it to Zemnis. Zemnis, you feel this tooth get placed into your hand, and you feel much the same, a coldness and just an emotional, like draining sadness. It doesn't feel like anything that you're not used to, but it feels like, best way to explain it is just like a melancholy. You're like happy that you're, it's like a feeling of like you're happy that you're sad, but you're sad, and you are sad.
Can I try to see if I can hear it the same way I was hearing Jax?
Try and like focus in on it, and you try and see if you can like connect with it even slightly emotionally, and you don't seem to feel like you're getting any.
That voice in your head, Sekbe, what did it sound like?
It wanted help in some way, but it offered help in its own way. Though
Nice.
Can I try and cast Psychic Whispers on the object and Sekbe?
You focus, you try and connect the object and the tooth and Sekbe, and you feel as if. So you definitely connect with Sekbe, but you feel as if trying, like, as you're connecting with this, like trying to connect with this tooth, it just doesn't get anywhere. It seems like something is physically blocking you from connecting.
But there's actually a mind or something there to connect with, is what you're saying.
Potentially. It doesn't feel like a mind, it feels like something else entirely, but it seems
A
similar
consciousness.
enough that it could be something like that.
I suppose I'll mention this. From what I know, this is a tooth from the dragon I've mentioned, the one I see in my dreams.
I've tried to connect with it, and I feel like it might have a consciousness, but I'm not too sure, and if it is, I couldn't connect to it. Perhaps try thinking about it as though you were communicating through the psychic link.
Sekbe, what's the name of the dragon? Once again, you've mentioned Alvanar. Didn't
Yes.
you mention him once, Mariska?
Well, yes, I guess I have.
So would you know anything about this? And I just point to the amulet.
Well, so you're pointing at the tooth.
The tooth.
Well, kind of obvious. It's one of his teeth. But like, he's a god of stories. And his teeth tend to be connected to a story. I hear that if you like do some stuff, you get the power sort of the story. But there's always a downside because most stories are, tragedies. But they're not. It depends on the story usually. You can also try and like get the creature to appear, but they don't usually last very long. You can't really destroy the teeth very easily unless you go back to where they were created. They're like it's as if you took a concept and you pushed them down into a small little item, and then the item allowed the concept to impact the world again, I guess. That's what the teeth are.
That was quite helpful, thank you.
Well, whatever I can do to help. I guess.
I was told how I can raise his hands and like air quotes awaken it again, but I'm
Oh,
unsure if
that-
I'm willing to do that.
You have to get through the
Either
teeth.
no, I don't
Oh,
believe
no.
so.
What did it say
It's-
exactly?
Remind me, Rage. It was basically help me and I can help you. That was the general gist of it.
Basically, yeah. That's the general gist.
Well,
I
as
do
long
not
as we-
feel comfortable helping the strange disembodied voice in someone's head unless I have some sort of grasp over what it's going to be.
it's quite ironic coming from you.
Mariska just
Out of all
literally
people.
laughs, like super loud, and goes, "So you're telling me? So we've got the chick with an amulet that she talks to. That's definitely maybe not something very concerning for the rest of you that she's helping out. We've got, your friend over here that's been helping an archfey, and then another archfey this entire time. You've had an archfey just gallivanting around next to you, and you had no problem with that.
Don't
I'm
forget
pretty
about
sure.
Jax.
I mean, obviously, Jex, he's a whole nother can of worms. I don't even want to get into that. You have a kobold who talks to the god of stories in his dreams. You got whatever the fuck points towards Kane. He turns into werewolf, something else. I don't fucking know. You got you, who I'm pretty sure you mentioned something about a fucking assassin, and if it's the assassin, we're in a whole heap of trouble. And then we've got, I don't even know, he mentioned some dumb shit about being royalty or some shit. I don't know. All I know is he likes boars
I dream
and
of
trying
being
to
as a
shag
woman.
my friend. I don't know. But yeah, you've all got some dumb shit, and suddenly one voice, and you're like, wow, that's crazy.
You guys are weird as
Hey,
fuck.
in my defense,
Mariska.
this one voice started occurring while we're in the motherfucking realm of the dead.
Well,
yeah.
while we are in the realm of the dead, I do think we could use any help we can get. As long as we don't form some contract with it. We can always ask what it will help us with and how we can help it. I mean, hell, if it tells you, take the money out of your pouch and I'll take you to the castle, I'd do it.
Probably not going to be
Agreed.
that
Hey.
simple, to be honest.
Mariska, you've been around for like a long time, right?
Yeah, fair while. Been around the figurative roundabout times.
Who's Carillion?
Ooh. Well, I feel like you guys should know a bit more about that than me. I mean, see the god of magic.
Oh, is she?
Everybody can roll
Well-
me a history check.
Is this not the one time to use the religion skill?
I mean, religion, I guess, yeah. Religion makes sense as well. Religion or
I mean,
history,
I'm not complaining if I could use history, but
either, whichever one you
I
prefer.
have a -1 to religion, but you know,
Huge.
Hey,
Big
boys,
chance.
I got
it's a
a one.
chance.
Okay. We're gonna run through everybody. Daryl, you're like, I don't know who the fuck Carillion is. What the hell?
Even though, bro,
I have
even though she
dreams,
fucking told
like-
me.
It's weird as fuck, bro. Valis, Zemnis, Sekve, all of you kind of have like vaguely heard of Carillion, and there's like you're not really sure too much about it. Zell, you remember stories of some of the some of the people in your tribe at one point deciding to worship some of the gods rather than Archfey and other beings, and it's not like anything super weird, and it's not like anything crazy. Or not necessarily people in your tribe, but people who were in the Great Tree. That's not the name, but you get the idea. Who would be like worshipping gods, and one of the names that came up of like the bad ones that you probably shouldn't fuck with was Carillion. And Kane, you're the only one who actually has any clue what the hell is going on. And you know, the goddess of magic is called Carillion. She tends to keep to herself for the most part, but basically, when it comes down to it, everything to do with magic, all forms of magic, including divine magic, they all effectively come through her, because what they are is when you're casting a spell, the powers come from somewhere, and all you're doing is there's like a giant like web across the entire multiverse, effectively. And that web is called the Weave. And the Weave effectively connects all of these different points with magic. And allows you all you're doing when you're casting is you're weaving the weave into a certain way, and it turns into a spell, right? And you know this because back home there were like just a lot of mages, and a lot of people in Dallas would worship Carillion because magic is pretty important. Which is basically Mystra, yeah.
So, what time is it at the moment? Now is it getting to like night, day,
It's getting
whatever?
to like the day section.
Yeah. Should
Um,
we settle down for a long rest then before we start
Yeah,
traveling?
we should, yeah. Mariska, see, I think I've been reliving the memories of Carillion in my dreams. That's why I asked.
Yeah. I give a shit why.
Does this mean something? Like, why am I dreaming to her memories?
I got no fucking. When it comes down to it, it seems that all of you have some sort of connection to something fucking weird, and I don't know why, but it seems to have worked out in that way. Hopefully, it's for a good reason, but I don't really.
Also, I completely forgot to mention, I don't mean to alarm anyone. However, I was able to speak with Arya last night, and she mentioned something about our, Trevor Mark, this being Arcalis's mark.
Mark of the Goddess. Yeah.
So, or Arcalis mark. So that could be.
Considering where we are, that's not anywhere near as surprising as it should be.
Yes, however, I'm not too sure what that's going to mean for me at a later time.
I mean, it's like one of three options, really. I mean, firstly, you're gonna end up being forced into a deal or something, in which case you're probably dead. Secondly, she wants you dead, in which case you're probably dead. Thirdly, she's just keeping an eye on you, in which case, considering where we are, you're probably dead. I wouldn't worry too much about it just yet.
I feel like I have some, but calling it bargaining
Alice,
power
I'm
is
just saying this to
probably
be
the wrong
honest,
word.
but if you die, we're not coming back here to save you.
That's reassuring.
Ah.
That goes for all of you.
Yeah.
I've signed one.
Well, we'd
deal,
only have
signed
to walk
two.
another couple mountains down that way.
Well, you say that.
A bit more.
I get the feeling that if a couple, dependent on who dies, I guess, it might not end up here at all, and in which case we'd have to go somewhere very different to get you back, and that sounds, it depends where we're going, I guess. Sounds like a lot of pain.
Some of our souls are claimed, aren't they, anyway?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
Mariska,
now, Xemnas is claimed by me, so if he dies,
You
I get
just
his
drag
soul.
Xemnas into your afterlife.
Well, that's not really an afterlife, and it's kind of very different. And long story short, if he dies as a soul, he's done for. But if he gets back to his body and then he dies, a little bit less done for. I have a little bit of business I can do with that. But I don't really have the. I mean, let's consider for a second. You've got the Archfey here, who said that she can't bring people back from the dead in a normal way, and had to entreat a whole nother Archfey of fire who she doesn't like, and make you make all a deal with him, and you're like, oh no, you could just do that normally. I mean, I feel like sometimes you speak and you just don't think.
I was wondering if you could drag him into your realm, not
It's not
bring
the
him
same.
back.
I can't just. Even me, crossing through realms like this, not easy. Dragging multiple people through realms like this, if it was the material plane, a little bit easier. And only in a couple of scenarios am I okay with it and it works out. I don't have that power. That's not me. All the times I did it before, that was because, wonderful Mr. Iliac was like, oh sure, I'll do it for you. Not my fault, my thing. My domain is very different, right? And it's not really the kind of stuff that is going to help here, to be honest.
Well, shall we rest for now and we can travel in the morning then?
first, I have a question. Where or what is the City of Glass? Anyone?
Does anyone recognize that?
Wait, what did you say?
I
The
recognize it
City of
not
Glass.
from
City of Glass? That's
Idris.
that's my capital.
Oh. Huh.
That's fucking boring.
That's where I came from. That's where I lived.
Oh, now I feel a little bit less interested. Well, I was asking mainly just because we've all been having weird dreams, and the last one I had, Marceline visited that place, or she said she had to go there. So that's it.
The only reason I'd think she needed to visit my capital is for the Fey portal. Because the city is on a mountain, on a big ass mountain, right? Secluded from like the rest of the country. It's a bit hard to get in. And there's like giants guarding the gates, it doesn't matter. But at the top of that mountain, there's like a permanent portal to the Feywild. So maybe
Oh.
that's why.
That's actually useful. Thank you.
Nobody's here to help.
That's not totally true, but thanks nonetheless.
I tried.
What's the time getting around Rage?
It's just about hitting day now, and you all do feel the anxiety slowly drip into a general depression again.
So yeah, I guess we just sleep then.
Well,
Hey, that's my normal mood. Let's go.
are we? Does everybody need to rest at the moment?
It'd probably be a good idea, especially
Yeah,
what we've got the chance.
about.
So are we just going to wait for a night to travel into that place?
Well,
I think so.
very much if we don't sleep now and we spend the day traveling and then it hits night, we're night in that place and fatigued. So we probably should sleep now.
If I'm being honest, it feels better to keep moving during night than sitting in one place.
Fair
Could get
enough.
ambushed.
Well, rest up then. I have
Alright.
no need for sleep, so I can take watch. And just like douse myself a bit in the water though before.
Sekbei, can I get a d20 as we begin the thing?
Okay.
Oh no.
Oh,
Oh
real
no.
quick, I wanted to say that
Ooh.
Mm,
Zell wants to talk to Marceline, and she'll ask, Lady Marceline, are you feeling better, worse, more at peace now that I've found another part of you?
You feel a general like warmth and not much else.
Okay.
Seems like it feels a little bit warmer than I guess you would normally feel, but it doesn't seem too different.
Cool. Then she goes to meditate or trance.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take
I
first
will-
watch.
I'll mention Sekbei at some point. We'll go off and see if he can speak with the tooth.
Sure. I will just like sit there for the first 4 hours of
Okay.
just take watch.
Cool. So that's
Can I-
yeah.
While I'm taking watch, I'd like to ask Mariska. While I haven't met him, what happened with you and your brother?
Oh, that's several cans of worms. That is. So generally, he's just an ass. He's a little bit more how do I put this? He really likes to focus on the wording and trying to get the most out of anything. Rather power hungry. He tricked me into something I didn't want to do. I'm very happy about that. He's several times, well, kind of usurped a couple of other Archfey, and mostly the Archfey kind of had this feeling of like they don't really care what he does so long as it's not against them, which is kind of shitty because then eventually it's against them and then they get fucked over and then they're like, what the fuck? And then they eventually all hate him, but by that point it's too late. That's the kind of person he is. That's the general gist of it. I don't really want to get too much further into it, to be honest. Especially since, you see how kind of glance towards Zell. Sensitive topics.
Oh,
A little bit.
okay.
He tried to steal Jex once, but Jex wasn't really having it. That was quite funny.
I would assume Jax is stronger than him.
Yeah, fair bit, but like at the time I still kind of liked him, so I told Jex not to eat him. Probably should have just let him eat him.
Well, it's never too late for some things.
Well, you'd say that it kind of is a little bit more difficult now than it was. Not sure eating him would be the end of him.
Well, I'm sure
Um,
there's a way somehow. And I just kind of turn back to scouting.
Okay, cool. Can I get perception checks from Saril and Zemnis for the first 4 hours?
What's up?
Okay. Perception, please.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to find it. I'm done. Found it.
Cool, cool. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. Sekbei, you drag the tooth away, I guess. What are you saying? What are you doing? You know the general gist?
He'll like go a bit outside, just so to the point where he's like still within sight, but probably can't be heard if he's speaking in a normal volume. And then, very well, I'll bite. How is it exactly? Can you hear this?
You feel the coldness of the tooth in your hand, and you don't seem to get a response.
Hmm. I can either wait to do this or I can do it now. The two methods of like using it, if I go quickly, were
Yeah.
put it in the ground or put it in my mouth. Yes.
Yep. Those are the two methods.
Was it mentioned? It was mentioned they don't last for long. Was it anyone in particular that doesn't last for long, or is it just both of them don't last for long?
From what you remember, it seemed like putting it in the ground doesn't last for long, and it doesn't necessarily confirm that the tooth, whatever it creates, is going to be happy with you. Putting it in your mouth gives you semi-permanent effects until either you die or the tooth is taken out of your mouth.
He would do this. So he shall pull it out of the druidic focus and put it in his mouth.
You take the tooth and you slowly begin to inch it towards your mouth, and you feel the teeth kind of pull themselves apart to make space, and it's a very uncomfortable feeling as this tooth just kind of magnetically pulls itself into your mouth. And as it does, you get like a flash of images of kind of just an interesting situation of this is definitely the story that you just heard. And you see the images playing out in front of you. You see Shendel's there. You see her and this monstrous, kind of like callous-skinned, disgusting, hairless Minotaur with a large axe who just looks horribly damaged as she like saves him. And then you see her like sending him off to kill hundreds of these large like armored flying people. Some of them have it with staffs casting magic, some of them using weapons, and the monstrous Minotaur-like creature is just throwing his axe, using this like what it seems like this. Effectively, the best way to explain it is like force pull. Like he's just pulling enemies towards him using some kind of magic, and then as soon as they get here, he just crushing heads, ripping limb from limb. These small humanoid-looking, like winged humans are being ripped to shreds here and there. And then eventually, he gets through all of it, and you see him wipe the blood off his face and throw it down. And you see Shendel's there, and she kind of turns to you and goes, "I grant you my power." The rest of you who see Sekbei, do you have your backpack on? Very important question.
Discord did this to me. Give me a second. He'd most likely, not particularly, he'd probably be facing the river.
Okay.
Rather than like basing himself based on the camp. So wherever they set up camp based on that, I suppose.
Okay. Do you have your backpack on?
Oh, backpack on? Yes.
Okay. The rest of you see, like, for a brief second, Sekbei kind of writhe and then pull his backpack off in a frenzy as you see from his back 2 white wings sprout And as the two white wings sprout, they come to about like 5-ish, 6-ish foot wingspan, and they kind of take up a fair bit of space. And after they sprout, like you feel like this uncomfortableness in your back, Sekbe, as you feel them sprout, and then you feel this uncomfortableness as you feel your feet turn from like these small little clawed, like kind of kobold-like feet into like they kind of split open as if like you were wild shaping, except they kind of come to a point where there's two front claws and then one at the back, and give me a second to grab it and copy it to you.
I can assume what. No, not a dragon. Are you fine me mentioning what race I think that I just became part?
Sure.
I think that was part of Aarakocra, am I right?
Effectively similar, yeah. It's not once per day. Whoops. It's just general. You have those things. I didn't mean to say once per day, but you call upon the power of the long dead queen. You have angelic white wings, 30-foot fly speed, talons on your feet that deal 1d4 damage, and use strength or dexterity for attacks and damage. And if you hit an attack with the talons as the same attack, you can attempt to grapple. You do gain the floor.
Speed and all it costs me is claustrophobia.
Mm-hmm. For now.
Mm-hmm.
I will copy you the name.
I am fine with this.
You get the name. That's the queen's name. And
Segway was talking about becoming playing Aarakocra in a one shot literally an hour ago.
Nice.
And also, Segway has like -2 strength, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Insane
Fair.
grapples.
I can. Yeah, that's going to be a bit of an
It'll
issue.
probably
I'm
still be
very-
athletics to try and grapple. But
I'm very tempted to like
Yeah.
minor illusion a box around Sekbe, like a cardboard box.
I would not do it while we're still
Oh
in
my
the fucking
God.
Shadowfell.
I've just had a horrifying thought. I've kind of unintentionally ruined your plans with minor illusions, and I didn't even consider this. Because when you cast minor illusions, when you were doing it just on the two of you, that now is just a confined space, even if it's an illusion.
Yep.
I didn't even think about that.
No more hiding tricks,
To be fair,
Unlucky.
It's just a bit of
we're going to have a
excitement.
hard trouble fitting my wings in anyway, apparently.
I'm just gonna like. Did I have like muzzles for birds? Like I'll just get one of those, so at least he doesn't yell.
Choke him out.
Maybe
Anytime
just
you have to
banish
cast an
Segway,
illusion, you have to
right?
grab the throat.
I would just-
No, before how he used to hold on to me, now like I'll do like in the old cartoons where they just grab the turkey by the neck and hold it up.
Jesus.
Out of curiosity, I assume it doesn't, but this doesn't transfer into wild shape. Am I correct?
This does not transfer into wild shape, no.
We do not need flying giant spiders,
Oh,
thank you very much.
Jesus Christ. That seems
Spiders
way too
with talons
much.
and wings.
If that ever
To be
happens, I'm
fair,
pretty sure
I
everyone
can
has
just-
to roll a DC 30 intimidation check to not run fucking screaming away like a little bitch.
To be fair, I could just pick up fly at some point.
The good part about this is you don't necessarily need to turn into a wild shape to go flying places now.
Yee.
Yee.
And also, to be fair, it's debatable whether I actually even need to hide in the small rock minor illusion, because I can just fly up.
Fuck off.
Wings permanent, then.
The wings are indeed
Yep.
permanent.
Well, Dallas is still asleep. This will be fun for tomorrow.
As you kind of have this odd sensation and like have this weird feeling about that, and then realize, oh shit, I have wings, and now I have clawed like bird-like feet. What the fuck? You kind of like go, oh, okay, that's weird as fuck, and then you look up like along the river, and you see along the river this humanoid resting along the banks, a fair distance away from you, hand clutching the bottom of their chest, seems like there's blood coming out, and you see them slowly raise a hand towards you. Please help me.
I'll get within 40 feet of them,
Mhm.
not closer, and I'll use Mage Hand to throw some water on them.
You use Mage Hand to throw water on them, and you see, as you throw the water on them, the person reels, and from under the mound behind them, the creature that you saw before, a similar kind of thing, these 6 large legs pull itself out and reel away from the river, and you see the creature.
I'll throw
kind of
more
just-
water, as fast as I can with Mage
Okay.
Hand.
You begin continually throwing more water again and again. Give me a second so everybody can see exactly what this is. That thing effectively is reeling from the water and beginning to pull itself away as the little humanoid just exists ragdoll on the front of it with its head just as you hit with a couple things, you see it just begin to gallop off in along the side the river off further away.
I'm going to run to the toilet again. I'll be like 2 minutes.
Okay. I think we will take a quick break because I need more water because I need to sip literally 40 times. But yeah, we'll take a quick break, 5-minute break, and then we will be back. Where is my break button? Break. We are on a break.
Is that going to be some horrendous abomination of 50 different races by the end of this?
I want to go for 5-10 minutes as well.
Till podziat no glopie mam, sokszu pieczka.
Yo, okay, Chrome.
Yeah.
Yo, quick volume 1 while we wait.
Oh my god, I was gonna get coffee, but sure. Oh, by the way, from Wednesday, Bailey and I might be playing Valorant.
What'd you say?
From Wednesday or Thursday, Bailey and I may be playing Valorant.
Oh, hell yeah. There's a lot of people who are playing Valorant in LAF, including me.
I mean, I'm pretty damn bad at it.
Oh, don't worry, I am as well.
I reply.
I have 2 questions
I
I
think
need to
we'll be
answer
back.
for the chat. Did you see that video? Did your mum see that video shared? And who the hell is Steve Jobs? Ligma balls. Okay. But yeah. All right. Is everybody here, or are people still in the void?
Zell went for 5 to 10 minutes, I think.
All right, cool.
I think we're in the Shadowfell.
Oh, by the way, the server is still on Brazil.
Oh, is it? Okay, give me a
Oh,
second.
yeah, it is. I'm still in 2
I'm gonna
bars.
press the. Yeah, I'm gonna change that back. What the fuck, server region? No, I don't want the help center. Let me change the region. Oh, it's gonna be of the fucking actual game channel, isn't it? Brazil, automatic. Save changes.
Why
There we
is
go.
it? Why did we go to Brazil?
Because
Yeah.
last week it had a spasm,
Yeah,
so we had to go to
it
Brazil.
completely died, and then in order to fix it, I sent us to Brazil.
Oh, but
See,
that's
'cause the
all
way
we
that-
have.
the list.
Nobody,
Actually, explain. Oh my god.
but nobody
See,
is a league
'cause-
player, so nobody's gonna get the
Yeah.
meme Mordekaiser sends you to Brazil. That's
Hello?
I got the
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Nobody
League
is a
player.
league player. You realize we have just as many league players as we have Smite players.
But does
almost.
anyone here actually get the Mordekaiser sends you to Brazil meme?
No.
Pardon? Yes.
Exactly.
Does your mum leave
Partially.
this fist in her face? Yes.
Oh, rough one for you, Kikro.
What?
Rough one for you, man.
Mm.
All right. Everybody here?
Yeah.
No, Zell.
Mhm.
Oh, Zell's here.
Cool.
Okay.
I've been here for the last 5 fucking minutes. I'm trying to talk. They're
like how-
talking over me.
I like how Valis just ignores me saying, yes, I understand the Mordekaiser from Brazil meme. I used to play League before that even was a thing. Like,
I mean,
bro.
I didn't realize that. Okay, never mind. Alright, anyway.
Okay. But yes.
Wha- 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 wha-
My continued retardation aside,
as you we return, as you seem to have shooed off this monstrous beast that kind of with the water from the Lethe, and you all begin to you notice it just runs off, seemingly far into the distance. What would you guys like to do?
Is it day now, Ben?
It is currently day.
Okay, so is the rest over, or am I still asleep? Is what I'm saying.
The rest hasn't started yet.
Has it not?
Not quite. This is just before, this is just as you're trying to get to sleep.
As
All of
I
this shit
turn back to
happens.
everyone, I'm like, do not go next to those. Do not help anyone here.
I am just going to go to sleep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to sleep as well. I mean, it's been like
Well,
4
nobody's
hours.
It's your
gonna
watch.
spend
It's
it.
currently your watch.
I'm gonna wait up my watch. Yeah.
You do all see indeed Sekbei with now white angelic wings.
He's going to be attempting to figure out how the fuck you fly with them.
Roll me acrobatics.
Nice, great.
That
Oh,
one
no.
straight in the fucking river.
I'm gonna fucking go like near Sekbe and like fucking just put my arms out in case he falls.
Sure. All right. Yeah. No, you take to it
Oh no,
quite.
he's going very far away from the river.
Yeah. No, you're doing it far from the river. You do. It's kind of a weird situation because you feel like you shouldn't feel good with wings, and yet somehow
Motherfucker.
you kind of have this brief memory of oh yes, some kobolds have wings and they seem to take to it pretty easily, and you just kind of vaguely try to copy the way that they would fly, and within literally seconds you're in the air flying, easiest thing in your life.
Sekbe, you okay there?
These shall do until I figure out how to change into a bird.
Would also
Well,
like
as
to
long
bear in
as you're
mind-
adjusting to them.
would like you to bear in mind that you do not have a hover
No.
speed. Oh, you don't have hover. It's just normal flying.
Yeah.
So you get knocked prone, you plummet. Cool.
Is hover the one? Is any flying speed you can still stay in the air? It's just if you get knocked prone whilst not having hover.
Yeah, it's just you with any other flying speed, you need to keep going at all. Every turn, you need to move at least a bit, otherwise you'd plummet. But with hover, you can just stay in one place no matter what, just pew 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 kind of thing. And if you get knocked prone, you don't die. Whereas with other flying speed, you just go flat.
And full damage can be mean in this.
It can. All right. Yes. So the first watch goes pretty uneventfully for the two of you. We are gonna do dreams real quick then, because they are not. Yeah, they are things. So we've got Kane, Valis, Sekbei, and Zell. So that's 4 people we will roll for. One, that is Kane. Kane, you're here, firstly.
Yeah.
Cool. And you slowly begin to drift into your trance state, calming yourself, and you find yourself once again in this crystalline mirror world of sorts. The 3 mirrors around you. You're tranced, relaxed in the middle on this small little pedestal, and you see in the mirror in front of you the large wolven beast stood there. It's a shame you haven't had more of a reason to call upon me.
Yeah, the opportunity wasn't perfect to do so.
I can smell that you soon will, though.
How do you know?
It's in the air. I can feel it. You were lucky when the smaller one killed the large one. That would have been an interesting fight, but I'm not sure we had capacity to deal with it. But there's going to be more coming. There's always more. Smell their stench around you even now.
So I don't think you'd suggest that I would fight them, do you?
Some of them, no, but some of them you could take, and I am aching to give my claws another bit of use.
Keep that in mind.
He pauses for a second, and then you see the mirror just shimmers. And you see two green eyes and a green mouth that comes into a smiling shape. And then from it, these two, like, several green horn-like effects above it, and then horns coming out of, like, effective, like, similar shoulders almost. And you see this thing look at you and go, "I've been waiting for you. I've been watching."
Who are you?
I can help you if you want. I have power beyond even your comprehension.
How can you help me?
All you have to do, let me in. Give me a chance. I can show you. Things won't end up like the bridge. I'll make
Sorry?
sure of that.
What was that?
They won't end up like the bridge. You know what I'm talking about, don't you, Kane?
I actually don't.
You see the crystalline figure smiles. I wonder, will you ever see your parents again? Maybe with my help. You can.
How do you have the power to show me my parents?
You see he waves a hand, and the mirror on your left shows you kind of like it looks a bit of a weird situation where you see what looks like reflection of the inside of something, and you see like it's almost as if like the mirror you're seeing through is being held, and you see the face of your mother, and you see the mirror being brought closer, and then you realize that the mirror is just engulfed by her mouth and then pulled out. And you see her just absent-mindedly talking about food and how breakfast was. And you hear some, like, shouting from another room. You can't quite make out what it is. And then the mirror just goes back to just being a plain mirror. There are many things I can many things I could.
So you're saying I just have to let you in?
Yes. Yes. As simple as that. Give me control.
Okay. And what would you do if I did?
Well, I'll help you find your wildest dreams and complete them. Our time runs short. You see a from like through the mirror, a large flawed green crystalline hand with lots of shards coming off the back brings its way out, and as it does, it plucks something else out of the mirror, and you see a small blue crystal that floats in the air in front of you. Glows ever so slightly. It looks like it's a light blue with like small cracks of darker blue on it. And it slowly finds itself rest in your lap. You require my power. I'm here. Through that, always. And all you have to do is call for me. Let me in.
Okay.
And the vision around you fades as you are awakened by Saril. Who's telling you it's your watch?
It's your watch, man.
Okay. Well, have a good night.
Thank you. Hopefully, don't die on us or something.
See Saril settles down to go into his trance. And as you look down, you see resting in your lap, small, thin, blue crystal. Sat there. Just sat there in your lap.
Okay. I guess I'll take a watch then, yeah.
Okay. Roll me a perception check, and
Do I use this? Are you using the same one for me?
I'll use the same one for you. It's fine.
Yeah.
Double check. Okay, cool. Okay. All right. Now we've got another D4 to roll. 1, 2. So that is Sekbe. Hooray! Sekbe, you find yourself back, relaxing, and you find yourself again on that nice, plump, plush seat, sat across from the large, draconic figure with the monocle and the little pipe that looks to you, and you see it grin. Ah, feels like you've barely been gone.
Yes, though I think this time things have changed a bit for the. Do I still have my wings here?
You do.
Yeah, I think things have changed a bit, and then flaps his new wings.
See that you have one of my teeth. Do you?
Yes,
I do hope you enjoy it.
Spoke a bit. I see why you chose that one now.
Well, I mean, I had to prepare you, of course. But yes, what will we have today?
Also, like random thing, I might be being dumb. Was this session the first time it's mentioned that Dalvanar was the god of stories? Because I don't recall that actually
don't
ever
remember
being
hearing that
mentioned
ever
before.
before.
Mhm.
Although it was Mariska
I
who said it, so we wouldn't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Mariska
mean,
said it to us.
Yeah,
yes.
so we wouldn't have known before
Yeah,
then.
it's one of those
Yeah.
things where it was not necessarily explicitly said, and your characters didn't necessarily know, but it potentially makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see it. I just wasn't sure if that was something I'd completely forgotten.
There are lots of things in this world that will be told to you in very different ways, and not all of them are true.
Reliable narrators are fun. Is that a D100 though?
Another D100, yes.
Ooh,
Oh, okay.
the lowest we've got so far.
Uh-huh. Okay, cool. So you find yourself, like, kind of almost shifted for a second as you disappear. And as you do, as you shift from this place, the cameras have died a little bit. There we go. It's fine. And we're back.
I just
Okay.
turned it off for a second.
Yeah, it's okay.
Someone passing.
Okay. As you shift, you find yourself looking at a man, a very obvious, like, eye that looks glass. It, like, you can see through part of it, and it looks like the paint on the outside is scratched, and it's definitely looking off into the wrong direction. He seems to be wearing like a straw hat. He has a couple of missing teeth and a couple of definitely rotting teeth, and he seems to be like biting onto the end of like like a piece of hay. You see he puts himself into a bit of a hunched position to look at you and goes, "Oh hey y'all, this is the story of the Mill Road murders." Well, firstly, it's called Mill Road because, well, the road, and he kind of points, and you see in the distance a large windmill appears that is attached to a second house. Well, it's the only mill in the, well, couple miles at least, and we call it Mill Road. And you got me. My name is Jill the Mill, because I live in the mill. Well, my last name isn't Mill, but you get the idea. People call me Jill the Mill. Now, used to be a couple people who'd live around these parts, but it's been a long time since anybody's lived in the mill but me. And it's a little bit out of the way, so most people don't kind of really come around these parts. Now, it came to a nice old summer. It was a good old time when these young kids, something like teenagers, that kind of business, they all came and they decided to set up shack in the little cabin next to the woods and next to the river that was next to the mill. And now, I love guests. They're the best. But obviously, you can see by the eye, teeth, hair, and he kind of takes his hat off and you see it's a very, like, he's bald. And he puts it back on. I'm not the most approachable type. And for a while, they kind of were freaked out. I kind of got to know them a little bit. Couple of girls and a couple of guys. And then, a couple of nights into their stay, I was awoken with a scream. You see, I come out with my pitchfork and my torch, and find out that one of the girls has ended up impaled on my mill. And I'm like, jeez, how'd you end up impaled on my mill? I say to her, and then I realize that the life kind of has already probably left her body. I scream, because, I mean, there's a body in front of me, of course I'm going to scream. And the rest of her friends come out with her other friend who was just standing there next to me in shock. And then they accuse me of murder. And I'm like, why would I kill someone and put her on my own mill? That's kind of pointless. There's a river right next to it. If I wanted to dump a body, I could dump a body in a river. If you really want to dump a body, probably you should cut it up into different pieces, put them in sacks with some, like, heavy weights, and then throw them in the river. They will never get found. That's plenty good enough. But no, they're like, she's on your mill. It's definitely you. I managed to get her down with my pitchfork. Kind of a bit of a bloody mess. She kind of splattered a little bit as she landed. But I found out, very obviously, she had some sort of cult symbol on her forehead written in blood. And I was like, the fuck? What are these cultists doing around here? There's nothing around here for miles. Why would they bother with me? So I decided I'd keep an eye on those kids. Now, you see, I'm not a industrious type too much. All I got is my fine... He pulls out a crossbow, and my pitchfork. And, I did my best to keep an eye on those kids for a couple nights, and nothing seemed to happen. They seemed to get back into having a good time. Bit surprising. I mean, one of their friends had just gone to get murdered, or, killed themselves. I doubt it's killing themselves considering the positioning and the fact that there was a weird cult sign on their head. I'm pretty sure it's murder. And then, a couple of nights later, one of the boys ends up dead. And you see, this is another odd situation. I have some scarecrows out in the farm, right? And then, what they had done is they had strung him up like a scarecrow, and then they had disemboweled him. They cut his stomach open, and he just splattered everywhere. The crows were all over him. Found him in the morning. And once again, this time I managed to stifle my scream, but it was not a nice smell at all. It smelled horrible. I managed to get over and tell the rest of the kids, and again, they were like, oh, you crazy old man, you killed our friend, I don't want to be here anymore. And then they were like, all right, we're going to go just run off into the sunset with each other. And, I gave them a good burial, but the crows had been at him a little bit. It wasn't a nice situation. At this point, I was just a bit like, I don't know what to do about this. Like, if these kids get back to their, like, wherever they are, and they send some guards after me, I'm going to be dead in the water. But like these kids, obviously it's not me, so it's got to be one of them. And so I devised a plan. If they were gonna go ahead and murder each other for no good reason on my property, then well, it's only right that I get to murder them as well. Now, I know, that sounds kind of bad when you think about it. You're like, oh, why you murdering someone? But if they told the guards, or if they went back to their, like, villages and stuff, even if they just all went, if them all going missing is a lot more reasonable. They got lost in the forest, they fell into the river. I mean, that's reasonable. But, you see, if they tell stories about murders, my business would be ruined. Everybody would come, people coming to get me. I can't be having that. So, this time, I was like, you know what? I'm going to set up a trap to kill one of them as they're trying to kill the other. There's only 2 left. It shouldn't be that difficult. So I waited until they were out partying again, because, you know, they're stupid teenagers and all they do is party. They managed to find a bunch of booze and go party along the river. I waited until they were down to party, and then I went into their little cabin, and I was like, I'll take a look, see if there's anything interesting. Now, here's what I see. A big old crystal in the middle of the room. Just sat there on the counter, and I'm like, what the hell? Where's this crystal come from? And I look at this crystal, and I see into it, and there's very obviously a very concerning demon type just chilling in the crystal. And I'm like, the hell? What in actually any of the 9 hells is this being in a crystal? And this being in the crystal looks at me with a big old smile, and is like, oh, hey, Jill Mill. You want to help me out killing these kids? I can give you power behind your imagination. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure I want that. And then he's like, I can help you find a wife. And I'm like, God damn it, I'm sold. And you see, with that, it was a done deal. I got a little bit of power, not too much, just enough to get me going. Went ahead, and it was pretty easy at that point. They were drunk as all hell. I literally pushed the boy into the river, and he just went off downstream, choked on his own vomit, and then the actual river water, I assume. Definitely very dead. Saw his body floating along a couple days later. Pretty good. And then, the girl, it was pretty easy. A couple crossbow bolts, and then a big old stab to the chest, and she was gone. And with that, well, you see, whatever demon this was, I don't remember his name, something like Graz Gagolgamag, something like that. He gave me the greatest wife I could ever ask for. And you see, next to him appears a very, red-skinned woman, long, black horns, wearing, a farmer's outfit. And she goes, oh, howdy, you met old Jill. Well, thanks for listening to our story. I hope you enjoyed. And he goes, well, don't worry, I didn't get into the business of killing people too much more. Only a couple hundred. But you know, if they're coming here in bumfuck nowhere and expecting a good time, I'm gonna give them a good time. If they die at the end, well, that's their fault. And you see it just all disappear as he winks with his non-fake eye at you. And that was number 4, The Mill Road Murders.
Holy fuck!
Jesus Christ, bro.
Jesus.
I did not see that plot twist coming at the end.
I didn't see any of that coming. Jesus. Okay.
That was a roller coaster.
When in the deep south.
Can we
When in
have
the
a
deep
one shot
south.
based on that where everyone has to do that accent?
Good lord,
Yes,
that's
sir.
so painful.
We're the kids that go to the farm.
Oh my fucking god.
It just becomes like a fucking 90s slasher flick.
Literally. I mean, that's what I was going for. Okay. But yes. After that, you see the dream fade, and you see Dalvanor sat there with a claw on his chin, and he's like, really was I've heard that story a couple of times now, but every time I'm thrown for several loops. It's quite the roller coaster.
Wait. He's sort of just sitting there. No, he's just kind of in shock for a moment, and acquiring that one must have been quite the interesting case.
Actually, it was really easy. He kind of was just the kind of, Well, you see, obviously I've had to deal with lots of different beings along the time, but he was quite forthcoming and happy to tell his story for some reason. I don't really know. It very odd disposition. He told me this story I was able to get while he was still alive, and he seemed to have a very long and happy life with his demon wife. It's genuinely fascinating. I just didn't expect it at all. Something else.
God of stories you may be, I'd be surprised if that wasn't a surprise to you.
Every story that I come across has plenty of plot twists that I just enjoy coming across, rewatching, rereading, re-feeling. A story told twice doesn't lose its effect on me.
Please do tell me, however, that one is another one that doesn't quite take place in this world.
I'm going to go with a no comment on that one.
Thank you.
Not necessarily sure you're going to want to come across that tooth either. Quite a wild surprise, that one. But yes.
Does it get me a demon wife?
Well,
Did someone say big titty demon waifu? Sign me the fuck up.
Wait, no, that'll only be if I plant the tooth. What happens if I put it?
You turn into the big titty demon waifu.
Oh my
Fucking
God.
getting out of control.
Let's just leave it at that. Let's just, you come across that tooth somehow, good luck. That's
By
all
the
I'm
end of this
saying.
campaign, I want to have encountered that tooth.
I think I shall leave.
What if we put the tooth within the wyvern egg?
Stop.
Now you're talking my language.
You do not want to give a wyvern the powers of these teeth. Trust me. But yes, I guess it's time for you to be going. I can see you beginning to flutter off already.
Oh no, I'm going to have to deal with those kind of puns now, aren't I?
Enjoy the wings, he says as he dissipates from in front of you. Alright, we have Daryl, Valis, and Zell left. Zell 3. Okay. Daryl. Daryl, you fall into another slumber, as per usual. This time, you find yourself in the midst of a battle, as you are casting spells here and there, a shield here, and absorb elements to protect yourself every once in a while, and you find yourself across a large cavern from a large red dragon. Adult, most likely, maybe older. You see the dragon laugh. This is quite the battle. And you cast another spell and then redirect some magic and... fine. I yield. This is good enough for me. You've proven yourself, Carillion. What is it exactly that you wanted? You look up to the dragon, who, as he kind of flaps his wing, slowly shrinks down into a humanoid, vaguely human figure, red eyes. He slowly puts a small monocle on his eye, puts a top hat on, and then pulls out a pipe and begins to smoke it. He goes, "So what will it be?" And you feel a tinge of anger before you bring yourself to calm. Dalvanar, I come here. I require your help in killing a god. I'm sorry now, what? A god? It's not anything simply done. Not since the old ages have any gods fallen from grace even close. You just sort your dress out, prepare yourself, you close your spell book. I'm here to kill a very specific god. And with your help, I think I have a chance. And which god might that be? The god of magic. Oh, you're not joking. Yeah, you're serious. No, that is hilarious. There's no way we have a chance to kill the god of magic. I have some insider information, potentially. You see, he pauses and goes, he won't just die easily. Especially since the other gods won't want him to. They wouldn't let him die that easily. Definitely not his wife. We can't kill two gods. She won't be a problem. And the other gods, they want him gone just as much as I do. I hear that you deal in stories now. Since, yes, I deal in stories. Everything else is relatively boring at this point. There's only so much gold you can add to your hoard before it gets same old. Then how about we create a story that would last for ages? Story of a group of heroes killing the corrupt god of magic and tearing down the goddess of beauty at his side. What do you think about that? Kind of pauses for a second. You see his hand grows claws, and he slowly cuts himself on his other hand. Slowly he pulls out of his hand this crystalline shard of blood that condenses down into a small red tooth. He holds it in front of him and goes, I think I have enough teeth for that. I'm in. Why not? If I die, well, for a good cause. And he drops the tooth. And you see, as it hits the ground in front of him, this large, like it's almost like this tapestry appears. And on the tapestry, across it, like hundreds and thousands of words begin to write, and then it stops. And he just points a finger to the bottom. All you need do is write your name. Easy enough. She pulls out a hand, casts a spell, and you see her name, Carillion, written at the bottom. And then it condenses down back into a red tooth. And he picks it up and then plants it in the ground. So then, these others. Who have you got? Well, I've got... You wouldn't really believe me if I said I have a demon kin. The king of Sorogar. He's a little bit less interested. I have a being... Well, he's a bit odd. He has this tendency to want to cut himself for power. Bit odd. I have an old friend turned assassin. And I have an archfey. Huh. Maybe that is enough to kill a god. And you see your vision fade from in front of you.
Big. Big.
Alright. Now we have Valis and Zell. Cool. That is Valis. Valis, you fall into your slumber and you awaken in a very familiar situation. The walls of the library around you. And as you kind of awaken and find yourself in this place, one of the books out of one of the shelves just falls directly onto your knee. You feel a stinging sensation for a brief second as it clatters to the ground. You see that the title of the book is written as The Heroes of the Realm and How They Defeated a God.
I'll pick it up, I suppose, and open it.
You open it to the first page, and it's blank.
I'll flip through, I guess.
You flip through pages, and you get to about halfway through, and most of the first half of it, it seems to be completely blank. And then after a certain part, you see that the book is burnt. Half of the page is gone, either torn out or just completely burnt.
In that case, I suppose I will put the book back.
You place the book back into the shelf, and as it pushes it, you push it into the shelf. You begin to like move away for a second, and then the book pushes itself out again at force and hits you in the shoulder, and then hits the floor.
I'll flip through it again.
Flick through it again. Same thing.
And I assume there's nothing on the covers, just outside of a name.
You see that the name, like the book seems to be like just have like a very general scroll, like on the like as the title, and it doesn't seem like there's a name of an author or anything, and the bindings just has the same name.
I'm not really sure what you want from me with this book. Do you want me to take it?
You see a brazier across the room flare with a large amount of fire and then return to its normal light dim burning.
I assume that's a yes. I'll pick the book up, I suppose, and do I have my bag with me?
You do indeed.
I'll stick it in my bag then.
You put it into your bag, and as you put it into your bag, you begin to close your bag, and then the book just ejects itself from your bag, hitting you in the other shoulder, and then clattering to the floor.
Do you want me to burn it?
The brazier lights up with fire again, and then reduces itself down.
I'm going to take it as a no.
Seems like the brazier is still burning, but not like it's a dim light for the most part, and then it just flared a couple of times.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I tried to put the book in my bag after saying that I took the answer as a yes, and it wasn't. It only flared once again, so the answer is probably not yes. Are there chairs anywhere?
You do see a couple of chairs next to tables.
I suppose I'll sit down then with the book.
Okay. You sit down with the book.
Can I open it backwards? If that was going to do anything, but go
Flip
for
it. Open it backwards. Roll me a intelligence check.
Nat 3. Or Nat 2 even. Awesome.
You look at this and you see that most of the pages are either burnt or pulled out, and the few pages that remain seem to have like a light singeing around the edges of them. And as you're looking through it even backwards, you see like in some places it looks like they're like, how do I put this? You know when you put like pen to paper and you can see that like the paper is like indented in places as if somebody's been writing on it. You see that, but you don't see any writing, and you try and like look into it and try and see what's written, but you can't seem to make out what it says.
Do I have is there a pencil and paper anywhere?
There would be quills around with ink.
I don't know if that's gonna work. Not sure then. I am really not sure what you want me to do with this book.
The brazier again lights up with a large amount of flame that turns blue this time, and then reduces back down to a normal flame.
Do you want me to put the book in the brazier?
It burns up to blue again, large flame, and then reduces itself down.
I am going to put the book in the brazier.
You put the book in the brazier, and you see the fire begin to wreath it, and as it opens itself and you see words appear on the page as the pages are beginning to slowly burn. Can you roll me a perception check to see just how much of this you managed to get? And then also dexterity check, please. Okay.
Seriously.
You do your best to try and flick through a couple of pages and read as much as you can, and you get not a huge amount. You get that so firstly you get this name and it says God of Magic. And you're like, huh. Okay. Weird. You get give me a second. You get this name and it says Goddess of Beauty. And it says Nosdormu's lover. And then you flick a couple pages and you simply get the name. And that's it. You get one name, and then that's as far as you can get. The rest of it just burns up as you manage to read that name.
Yes, she's the Goddess of Beauty. Or I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh yeah, shit, we don't know that. Oh shit, we didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, that was the one we didn't.
Alright. Nice. Okay. Well, I assume the book's burnt now.
Mm-hmm. The book burns up and dissipates into ash.
I am somewhat curious why you wanted me to burn the book, but I suppose that's probably not something I need to worry about.
You hear a voice from behind you. Some things are better left gone.
I'm getting things like that a lot at the moment, I'll say as I turn around.
It was a farce. There's not much more to say about that.
What was wrong with it?
The library will show you soon enough, I'm sure. It seems to be leading up to that. I don't know why it wishes to, but it will.
Seems like it's hard to tell what the library wants. It can't be easy trying to work for it.
It is a necessary evil.
Can you tell me anything, or a library? Tell me anything you can about the other side of the bridge, then, the darker area.
You kind of pause and wait for a second to get any response, and then nothing seems to happen.
Frog, it was worth a shot, I suppose.
After about 10 seconds, a book falls out of one of the highest shelves and lands directly on your foot. You take 1 point of psychic damage.
Alright then.
Mhm.
Nice.
And as you look down on it, you kind of feel this just nausea for a second, and then it's an odd feeling of just you wake up with a start and are through the real world, and it feels like you've just been ejected somehow. It's just like a full disconnect, and you feel extremely uncomfortable, and then your shoulder burns.
I'm gonna have a look at Mark.
It seems to be the same. It just, for a brief second, it felt like it literally burnt into you. It felt like an extreme burning sensation. You wake up a while before most of the others are awake. And Xemnas Kane, this is about midway through the night. The day, sorry. I
The day.
guess. Yeah.
Mhm.
That you see Valis just wake with a start.
Jesus
Are
fucking hell,
you
fat.
okay?
Sort of. I'm not really sure what the fuck just happened.
Bad
But-
dream.
Yeah, I tried to find out what I could about. I'll gesture to the other side of the river, about over there, and I feel like I got kicked out the library. I've never had that happen before.
Well, you are in quite the odd location.
I'm apparently when I spoke to Arya the other night or day or whatever the fuck, it wasn't an issue with the connection. I think the Mark did it.
Hmm. Did you get a chance to ask about the mark?
I asked about the mark before. It's the mark of Ecalis. I'm not too sure what she wants. However, apparently having me or someone like me in her debt, I suppose, is beneficial for her. So I'm not really too sure what's going to happen there.
Well, we just have to wait and see.
Yeah. A little bit worried, to be honest.
Okay.
There's many things that are concerning at the moment.
That's true.
Cool. As you finish this conversation, you see Valis feels like Valis. You feel like an intense tiredness overcome you, and the rest of you just see Valis just drift back into sleep. And you'll be able to finish your long rest as normal, but
Okay.
basically, which means that psychic damage also heals, and obviously,
Alright.
not that evil, unfortunately. Okay, cool. So, as that's the final one is then Zell. Cool. Zell, are you here?
Yep.
Right, awesome. You find yourself drifting off again. The cold sensation as you pass through a Fey portal. You are reminded of. And this feels like a memory not of yourself, of someone else again. But it feels like you remember passing through Fey portals not as yourself too much. It seems more like this is a feeling from Marceline. You pass through this large portal, and you find yourself at the top of this large thin peak with a set of stairs that go down. You walk your way down a fair bit, and you look down, and you see across this vast area hundreds of buildings and an entire city made of metal, glass, wood, everything. Built into the side of this mountain, built on top of this mountain. And you look down at the very bottom, two obviously large giant kin, they're visible from this distance, stood next to this gate, this set of gates. And as you look down, you begin wondering where exactly you're expected to meet this person. You continue wandering down the steps, leaving a little bit of an icy glaze behind you on these stone steps behind you. And then it comes to this small little clearing where you find a table. Across this table seems to be a woman sat there with a cup of tea. And there seems to be an empty cup on the other side and a chair. This woman has blue eyes, long black hair. She seems to have a book next to her, and she seems to be wearing a blue dress. She looks to you, and she smiles, but only with her mouth. You can tell that it's not like as genuine a smile as you would normally expect from a person, but there is still a smile on her face. She looks to you and goes, "Lady Marceline, a pleasure. You would sit across the table from me. You are not used to, well, doing what humanoids, elves, whatever, lesser beings tell you to do. But you feel a slight desperation, and so you quietly sit yourself down. Would you like some tea? You nod. Good. Wonderful. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Carillion. It's a pleasure to finally meet you in the flesh. You kind of crack your back for a second. What do you want? We have a common enemy. Well, more accurately, we have two different enemies who, if we're not careful, will make themselves a common enemy, and then neither of us will win. But I've learned one thing over my time: divide and conquer is often the best strategy. If you assist in defeating my enemy, I can assist in defeating yours. I hear he is a terribly strong archfey. But with your help, perhaps we can utilize the power of a god to defeat him. You pause for a second. This isn't what you were expecting. You weren't expecting to have to talk about killing a god, but even then, like, this seems kind of absurd in the way she's saying, like, this woman here is gonna kill a god. That's mental. There's no way that she's gonna be able to do that. You see her smile, but this time also with her eyes. We're going to kill the god of magic. And with his power, we can defeat your enemies as well. You do something for us, we do something for you. And then after, we have intentions potentially of disassembling other gods. If they prove difficult, of course. You feel uncomfortable at this thought, and feel this dread, like, seep into you, knowing what could happen if you're not careful. Fine. I'll help you kill this god. And then afterwards, we defeat him. Yes. Now I've already got myself a little bit of a team together. If you'd like to follow me, we'll go meet them. And as she says that, sorry, you see the vision fade. And you feel a cold, weary sadness in your chest. And you awaken.
Lady Marceline.
You feel a warmth in your chest?
Pardon?
You feel a warmth in your chest?
What did you do?
For the first time, any interaction you've had with Lady Marceline, you feel sensation of guilt.
That person that you needed help fighting. I feel like in some way I've betrayed you in taking this deal to help a friend.
You did what you must, my child.
That's true, but in some ways I share your guilt. So I apologize for that.
You feel a sadness that kind of tingles in you, that doesn't feel like a sadness of, like, it's a hard to explain feeling where it's like you can tell that this isn't directed towards you, it's directed towards the fact that you're in this situation in the first place, and it feels like a guilty sadness that then slowly passes into nothing, just emptiness.
And with that, she gets up and just looks around at everybody else, just seeing what they're doing and where they are.
At this point, everybody else has pretty much awoken, and it doesn't seem like anything happened during the night, the day. During the night, but the day. The good time. The sadness time. Not the anxiety time.
Well,
The sleepy daytime.
Mhm.
Yeah. I've had a
I
week.
guess get up, pack up, and get ready to go. Don't waste time.
Yeah, I don't want to stay here too long.
We should still have a little bit of daytime left, so we can try and get some travel going on.
So you guys said you were about 100 or so feet away from the bridge.
Yes.
Yes.
As you guys begin to get up, you see very obviously, as you're like collecting your stuff, there seems to be a figure stood on the bridge.
Oh, wait, isn't there
Yes.
somebody there?
Can I try and see
What-
who it is? See what they are?
You see, very obviously for all of you, a figure, like a hooded figure, and blue fumes of like very distinct, almost fire wisps of smoke or something coming off their shoulders and parts of their head. And they seem to be stood there in the middle of the bridge, waiting.
Is that Marvith?
Yeah.
It doesn't
that's
seem to be Marvith, no.
Oh, okay.
This looks very
then I
different.
guess we walk over to them.
You okay, buddy?
You begin making your way over.
Guys, wait! Sekme has wings!
Don't worry about it.
I have learnt not to question.
Just don't worry about it.
Things will happen, and they will happen, and I will be here, and I will just roll with it.
What if he can give he can give like all of us wings as well?
I am very much okay without wings.
I
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
could only get them by putting a tooth in my mouth, and I only have one of those.
You see as
Oh.
he speaks,
I do
there
not
is
want to
a
know.
very... Whereas the rest of his teeth are mostly pretty sharp, there is one very obviously slightly larger humanoid tooth with a couple of little blue gems stuck out the outside of it that glints at you as you're as he's talking.
I see why we
do-
don't question things now.
Yeah, just don't worry.
Out of curiosity on that note, is anyone particularly familiar with the history of Jaskor royalty?
Not really.
I know a little.
Wait, maybe
It's
do I
never
know
really
anything?
been a big topic.
You would maybe know some stuff as well. I think the most likely people to know would be Valis and then Sarah.
I probably know their names of the
So-
past maybe couple of kings.
Both of you can roll history checks.
Would any of you happen to know a Queen Shindelzar? I
Once
pronounced
I
that
find my
correctly?
history check, I'll tell you.
You
Or I have an
don't
advantage ticked on by mistake.
seem to twig anything, Valis. Sarel, you kind of like vaguely remember something, maybe, but it's like it's kind of just out of your reach of your mind, and you're just like, I feel like I got told something about this at one point, but I can't really put like a name or a date or anything to it.
Well, the name seems familiar, but I can't put my finger on it. I'm kind of more worried about the guy that's like on the bridge. He looks.
Can I walk to the front of the bridge and try to catch his attention?
I
Um,
would stay a healthy distance away, just personally.
Cool. Kane, unfortunately, you didn't live in Jaskor for very long, and from your like learning, you can't really come to glean anything from this Queen Shindles there. It doesn't seem to mean too much to you. But yeah, you guys begin making your way towards the bridge, and you see that this being is stood there, very humanoid, seem to be wearing like draping black clothes, and in both of his hands he's holding a chain. There's a chain that links both hands, and either side of the chain, on like the right and the left, you see what looks like at the end of the chain a blade that is wreathed in blue flame. And as you come closer, you see the chain on either side begins to swing around side him left and right.
Do we
He-
take this? Yeah.
As you get as you get to that point that you can see him and he does that, a booming voice is heard for all of you. Lady Ikala demands your presence.
Well,
We are planning to travel
That's-
there now.
where we
Oh.
were heading.
We're heading there. Yeah.
But if you could give us a one-way ticket, then
No, I'd much rather a two-way ticket, thank you very much.
that's true.
You see he, as he's spinning his weapons, turns around and begins just walking across the bridge.
I will follow.
Following.
Yeah.
I'll start following, and I'll mage hand like the last like splash myself with some water. You know.
Cool. You splash yourself with some water. As you get to the other side of the bridge, you see out of the the floor in front of him this large best way to explain it is it looks like the head of a snake if it was just bones, black and red bones, as it rips its way out of the ground and kind of rests itself so the top half of its head is on the top of the ground and the rest of it is still in the ground. It kind of makes a large cracking sound, and you see
Does it occur?
It is indeed occur. You see it walks up. He walks up and grabs the back of one of the spines on its back, holds onto it, and it begins just taking him off. And then as he does, you see 1, 2, 3 more stop in a row, facing off in the direction.
Are
I'll
we
grab onto one of
to
the spines as well.
Get on these then? I'll hop on.
You
one.
can trust them. They belong
we?
to Lady Urkala. I've seen them quite
the-
a bit before.
Zell's already on whatever's the closest one.
Then I'll hop on one as well then.
Cool. Everybody else?
Yeah, I'll hop on one.
Mm-hmm.
Zekbe?
Sorry, I'm lagging really badly. I didn't actually hear what happened.
So basically, this guy has been yeah, Lady Okala wants you to come, and then walked off, and then these giant skeleton snake creatures kind of appeared out of the ground, and just the top half of their body seems to be above the ground, and he basically grabbed the back of one, and then a couple of your companions have grabbed the back of a bunch of others. Are you following?
There's a water.
I'm gonna take this as yes.
Could I just pick up Sekbei and
Yeah, you pick up Sekbei and grab onto one of them. They move at concerning speed. It's almost like they move in a serpentine movement, and it's rather than they are moving, it seems the world around you is rushing past you. As you're making this journey, you see monstrous things. You see angries, a couple of the 3 or 4 of them feasting on a large beast, more than happily all at once. You see a couple lonely standing there, just glaring off as you make your way past. You see a couple of lost, sprinting along, and obviously. Xemnas would know exactly what they look like. For the rest of you, it looks like a creature with several masks on its face, with 4 arms, and they seem to just be fighting for something between the two of them. And then you finally make it to the foot of this large castle. Now you look at this castle, and it looks like the best way to explain it is look at a destroyed castle that you'd see otherwise. It's brick and stone mostly. It's a black stone for the most part, but it looks like some of the different parts of it have been destroyed and ripped apart, and then rebuilt in certain sections. So it almost makes this spiral shaped tower off a tower off a tower kind of deal. But as you get to the front gates, the large doors open, and you see the curs underneath you just dissipate into the floor. The man, humanoid being you saw, stands in the doorway, still swinging his weapons. He they come to a stop, and you see around the doorway several other similar, like, looking beings of full black kind of suits, like hoods, and then like masks over their faces. Seem to appear out of almost thin air. There's a red one, there's a green one. One of them looks like they have, like, rather than like the similar kind of weapons, a staff. One of them seems to have like a samurai sword, like a katana, and then a couple of them, one of them has a bow on his and is just stood there waiting. Pretty similar to Achiman, I guess, in some cases, actually, the way he looks. And then as they all like appear, some of them attached to parts of the castle. You look into the castle, and it almost lights up with a extremely bright light, and you see a large, long, black carpet leading up through a large hallway deep into the castle to a point where it's kind of difficult to see what's past it. The man at the front goes, "You will see you now," and he simply steps out of the way.
I start walking forward.
Yeah, I suppose I'll walk forwards as well.
Yeah, same.
Cool. You all begin walking into this palace, and as you walk, it seems like your steps take you further than they really should. A couple of steps take you several meters, and you see, like, it feels like you just are moving at a similar speed through this castle that you were moving at on the Kur. And as you finally get, like, to this large throne room, it's rather bright here, but it still seems like quite dark and dim compared to what you would expect. There's large black carpet covering these black stones that seem to be cracked and damaged, and then in the distance there's a large throne with a woman who's got to be at least 13-14 foot tall sat on the throne. You see,
Is she wearing white and
Stop! Don't say it. Carry on, DM. Carry on.
she wears a black dress that seems to be have absolutely no sides, but goes like full length down to the floor. She wears these she has this it looks like a crown made of hundreds of skulls with these large black horns that come out either side. She has blonde hair, and then her eyes seem to be like a pitch black. She looks down to all of you. Her hands in front of her. Come forward, please, if you would.
We just I come forward.
I slowly walk forward.
You all
Likewise.
enter the room, and the doors slam behind you, and you see the lights kind of dull, except for directly on this pathway towards you. You come a little bit closer, within about 10-15 feet, and you see that she is very tall, and she sits there, and she slowly shrinks down to a more humanoid size and steps off until she is effectively, you see that this chair is about the size of a person, and she's standing in front of it, her arms crossed. And so you are the intruders in my realm.
I would first like to
I'll
thank you for having us.
I'll
and
bow
for-
awkwardly. It's an honor to meet you, I suppose.
I'll bow forward as well, and I'll say, firstly, thank you for having us and sending someone to come fetch us. It is greatly appreciated.
Can I have everybody roll a strength saving throw for me, please?
Oh,
Choo-
-2 on strength. Let's go.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Saril, Kane, Valis, all three of you feel this force on you and manage to keep yourself standing. The rest of you, you feel this force push you down into a kneeling position, and you hear a voice from the darkness just off to the right saying, "It's customary to kneel in front of your queen."
I look, and who do I see?
You see just a wall of darkness next to you. So what has effectively happened is this large, like, thin line of this carpet leading towards the throne is still illuminated, and either side it seems to be pitch black, unpenetrating darkness. The only person who seems to be able to look through it is indeed Xemnas. And Xemnas, as you look through it, you see the man with the blue flames. You assume it could be any of them, but you see the weapons looks like it's him, is stood there, arms crossed, a couple of feet away from you in the darkness.
My apologies. And I just kind of look towards
will-
Cyril and the others and do this.
Yeah, I will
Like
go
to
down
kneel.
onto one knee.
Kind of hesitate a little bit, and then like I go down to one knee.
Dane will too.
You see she kind of glances into the darkness, and Xemnas, you're the only person who sees this. The form of the man kind of is just crushed for a second, and you see him just kind of nod, and then you see him just dissipate into black smoke as she looks back towards you. My apologies for him.
That is
Please
all.
continue.
I was informed by Marvith that I would be needing to speak to you. I have passed on, and it seems a couple of people have, well, from what Marvith informed me, wished to bring me back, and I was informed I would have to speak to you. I apologize for my friends coming into your realm. They were merely brought here to help within the journey.
You're just here to shave Xemnas.
I, the goddess, the Shadowfell, the realm of the lost dead. Whether your death is an appropriate one, whether you are to come back to the world of the living, these are not my questions to answer. But leaving my domain, that is a question that I must ensure has a suitable answer. See, she holds her hands out in front of her for a second, and she puts her hand towards you, and she almost, like, her hand comes towards you, and then you all see this wisp of white pulled from Xemnas, and a small, like, feather appears, and she holds it towards her, and the feather rests in her hand, and then she touches towards her chest, and you see she grips her chest, and you see blood spurt for a second, and she pulls out a heart from her own chest. It almost just phases through, and you can see it still beating. Seems there's lines of like black necrotic energy and power across it as she holds the two of them in front of her. She pauses for a second, and then she holds the feather up again, blows, and it pulses, like it's almost like a like, you know, there's like those flowers where it's like the dandelion.
The dandelion.
Yeah, just all of them float off and then recoalesce back into Xemnas. And then she slowly places the heart back into her chest, and you see her dress just kind of like, it just pulses through her chest into her, and then her, where you saw the bloodied marks, they kind of just slowly dissipate back to nothing. And then you see her There is only one way you can do this. I will accept no other course of action. A life for a life, a soul for a soul.
I stand up.
You stand up, and she looks to you and goes, "No." And you are physically forced back down into your kneeling position. No save necessary this time. And then she puts a finger, and you see Valis's body is pulled to standing up. And what about you?
There are still things I need to do in the living realm.
It seems there is a misunderstanding. I did not ask for your body. I did not ask for your mind. I did not ask for your life. I asked a soul for a soul. You will see
And
the darkness around you dissipate, and around you, you see those figures appear again. These are my forsworn. Eternal service. That is what I wish. For you.
And this will not impact me visiting the living world and living out my life.
Your life will continue, however you see fit. And after, you will serve me till the end of your days. Till the end. Until you are willing.
Alright, Alex.
Are you sure?
Yep. If I can do what I need to do, I'm totally okay with that.
He pauses. Then you must die for me. Are you willing?
Hold up.
You will get to live your life, but you must die first.
Okay.
Good. You all see as these chains appear out of the floor, and they begin wrapping themselves around the rest of the party. These black metal chains tie you all down in your kneeling positions, as Valis is left the only one. And you see this being that you saw before. I didn't make him a token because I'm lazy. Love to see it. Wait, give me a second. Dead. There we go. You should be able to see that. Amazing.
That's awesome.
You see that figure stood there in front of you. Do what must be done. Okay. Can you roll initiative for me, Valis?
Just me?
Just you.
Shit, hold on, my character sheet's fucked up. I have to still click on my thing. That's
Okay.
alright.
Booga booga.
Yes. Okay, that is a 19. Plus numbers. Okay, cool.
Jesus Christ.
He is going to go first. As
I'm
you
going
see
to get a
him
fucking
spin
one-shot.
his weapons around. His first attack is a 8 plus 5, 13 plus 2 is 15. There's a 15 hit
Misses.
you. Misses. The first attack swings past your face as you feel this cold sensation. Even though these weapons are burning with this blue flame, it's almost like it feels like it sucks the life out of the air next to you. Like it feels cold and dead as it
Was this
whisks
like a
past your face.
ranged swing?
Yeah. He's at a distance from you still. A good 30 feet or so. He just
Fuck.
swings
Okay.
it off towards you and then pulls it back. Okay, that's his first attack. That is 17 plus 5, 30, 23, 25 total.
That hits.
Okay.
That fucking hits easy.
This time he swings around with the other side and he just swings it straight towards you. And this is gonna do numbers. Give me a second. Where's my number? There we go. Cool. So that is 3 plus 3. So 6 slashing damage.
Okay.
And 11 necrotic damage. As
Fucking hell.
it slashes into you, and the initial slash doesn't seem to do as much as you expect, but then you literally look down and you see the cut begin to just, the flesh around it begin to just die and begin turning black and pull, like, it's almost like the flesh itself is trying to seal itself away from this blade. It's your turn.
Ah!
I
Jesus.
try pulling on the chains. Or trying to break
How far
the-
away am I?
Okay. So
30 feet, right?
yes, 30 feet. Can you roll me a strength check, Sarah? Okay. You do your best to try and pull at these chains and rip them off. And as you do, you hear Carla's voice. It's no use. Those chains are built to hold monsters. You are nothing of the sort.
Okay, I'm gonna move
Okay.
60 feet away
Mhm.
and throw both knives.
Okay. Cool. The first one you see you throw and it would hit, but his form just dissipates into smoke, reappears a little bit away, and then just reappears like about 25 feet away from where it was, closer to you. The second one, however, does hit, and you see it like hit him in the face, and you see him visibly like reel from the hit, and then he turns his face back towards you. Is that your turn?
Yeah, I've got nothing else.
Cool. That is 12 plus 5, 17
It
plus
hits.
2. Yeah, okay.
I've got 16 AC.
Okay. This time it is 11 points of slashing damage and 9 points of necrotic damage as he
That kills me.
It's a long swing, and it hits you deep into the shoulder. And as you do, you all see Valis's face go pale for a second, and then him just splurt this black blood out and drop to his knees and collapse forwards. And then you see Lady Akala slowly walk towards him. The being that Valis was fighting stops, his weapons retract back towards him, and then you see him dissipate into smoke. Lady Akala walks up to within 5 feet of Valis. Hey, Valis is face down on the floor. She grabs him by the hair, slowly pulls up his head. You see it is gaunt and lifeless. And then she just touches him right under the chin, and you see it's almost like life pulses back into him. And then she touches him on the shoulder, and you see this burning mark like pulse its way across his body as you see his where his armor was on his shoulder is just completely burned away, and his where he had the tattoo, it kind of grows somewhat. Not a huge amount, just a little bit. You see Valis regains life and just spurts black blood everywhere again. And then she, after you rise to your, she pulls you to her feet. To your feet. She takes a step back and then goes, "You arise now, one of my forsworn." The chains dissipate from around the rest of you. You may rise.
That was fucking awful. Ah. Fuck, that hurts.
I'm assuming you're free to go now.
How much health do I have?
You're back to full health.
Okay.
You
Can I
are
ask you something?
indeed free to go if you should so wish. I would,
Why-
however, implore you to stay for a short time.
Okay, but why did you choose him over me, even though I offered?
There are
Uh,
other things that are requiring your unique skills. And unfortunately, I already have an archer.
I'm going to turn to Arcalis. It's because I'm meant to become an assassin, right?
You see the slightest tinge of a smile appear on her face for a second. Perhaps. There's a lot more to that, however. You may stay here as long as you wish. He looks to Xemnas. Your condition shall not progress while you are in the walls of this castle. But leaving this place past that is up to you, and however you figure out how to do that. Your condition will progress once you leave these walls, and I must warn you, you remain a soul in this realm, and as soon as any of these beings look upon you in your fully transformed state, you will be cemented like that for as long as there is to be. Very few magics will be able to pull you from that state without
Might I ask,
costs.
where do we head from here? To return to the land of the living.
There are few places that might bring you back to your material plane. Many of them are far too far away for you to make it there in your current state. However, that does not mean that you need to go to the material plane in order to escape this realm. You see, she moves a hand, and you see images of several sets of standing stones appear. They look like, the best way to explain them is like Stonehenge, except all of the stones are glowing, with like blue symbols along them, or like red
Oh no,
symbols.
Stonehenge.
Um, and then she points them out, and you says, "The Nine Hells, realms of the Feywild, other places. There are portals to those, but you must be wary that they will, well, take you to those places, and those places I will not be able to assist you in any way. Not that I would assist you in this realm, of course, past this hospitality."
Rage.
Yes,
You mentioned the Feywild,
yes.
right? How big is the Feywild?
Feywild's fucking massive.
So the chances of us going through the portal and arriving at like the other portal that's entrance to Arvandor is very small.
It's extremely small.
Okay.
There's a
Yes.
chance that you'll end up similar or might be able to get about there, but it's gonna be like, you'd probably have to trek for a while, kind of thing.
Rage.
Yes.
The thing.
Mhm.
I'm assuming it works both ways.
It does indeed.
Well, maybe through the Feywild would be best for us. So the curse will not progress further there.
Once you have left this realm, the curse will dissipate. You will simply be a soul. If you are to, for example, die or come close to it again, you won't be transported back. That's not how that works. You will progress fully through your curse. And then if you die in that state, you will dissipate. And there is nothing, no god, no demon, no fundamental that could bring you back after that.
So my only question remains, how do I regain my body and not be just a soul?
He turns to the rest of the group. From what I hear, arrangements have already been made.
Mariska?
Mariska kind of appears on Xemnas' shoulder in a small form and goes, yeah, that's kind of the point of what Taltine's gonna
Oh
do.
yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and disappear again. She's fucking scary. And she just disappears again.
Well, if you could let us possibly rest here until we head off, that would be very kind.
Take your time. As long as you need.
Is the way to the Fey realm nearby, or
Each of
are
them
there
are
portals?
difficult in their own right. But before we discuss that, rest, relax. I have a date to make with another lovely goddess, so I shall be going. Take your time. You see, she disappears into black smoke. Oof, gone.
Yo, we just met a fucking god, bro.
I have so many questions, and I don't think I'm going to get answers.
So gods go on dates?
Are you sure you're okay with everything that happened, Valis?
Mm.
I kind of have to be because I can't really go back now.
You're a unlucky one for you, man.
Yeah,
Well,
fucking until I went to Amberstone, I was perfectly fucking normal. You know,
I'd say please continue.
just go to Strissel, he said. Not Strissel, fucking go to Slotbury, he said. It'll be great. It'll be a nice job. It'll be an easy job. There's people going with you. It'll be easy. It'll be fine. Yeah, sure. Go to fucking Amberstone, they said. It's a good paying job. And now look where I fucking am.
Well, Valis, if it's any condolence, from what it seems, most people don't end up really having a splendid time after death, as we saw from all the lonely, the angry. I'd
I
say
mean,
having purpose after death
it's
has
something,
its
I
own
guess.
benefits.
It's still sort of concerning, though. You agree? Man,
Well, definitely. I'm just trying to see the positives in
I
this.
haven't wanted to go home in 2 fucking
Or
years, but
after
now I
death
really
and
just want to go
now.
home. What was that? Ross? Segway?
Better after death than now.
I suppose.
And at the very least, at least it wasn't anybody else here.
On account of the fact that most other people here wouldn't have come back like that. Yes?
It was a bit of a joke, but thank you for making the sacrifice.
That's okay. I'm not really sure what I did. Like, right now it just feels like I got stabbed a couple of times.
At least you'll look cool when you come back here after you die.
Bro. But hey, have
That's
fun
not really
studying.
something I'm excited to consider, to be fair.
Have fun studying in eternity, man.
Well, for now, how about we all get some rest?
Yeah.
Let's
Are
be
the
lucky at the
other
fact
guys-
that we all made it here in one
Are
piece.
the other fellas in the room, or the other, or Oathsworn still there? Forsworn, whatever.
They don't seem to be there.
Oh,
No.
okay, never mind.
Where's Jax?
Mariska reappears on your shoulder. He's off very far away right now. Eating plenty of things, it seems.
Mariska.
I feel the need to ask will he be okay, but I don't think I require an answer.
I don't think he's gonna have any problems.
So, Mariska, I have a small question.
Mm-hmm.
On a scale of 1 to really fucking bad, how much did I just fuck up?
So yeah, how do I put this? All right. So there's making a deal with like a devil. you're gonna get exactly what you say on the tin, but it's probably gonna fuck you over. Like it's not gonna be. It's gonna be very honest about fucking you over, but it's gonna fuck you over, right? There's making a deal with an archfey where you'll hear all of the stuff and it'll be in the fine print where it'll fuck you over, right? That's usually how that goes. And then there's making a deal with a goddess like her to be one of whatever the fuck those people are. And long story short, the best way I can explain it is you're fucked.
Seems about right. I'm sure I'm gonna get a bollocking from Arya as well.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck is going to go on with any of that. So good luck.
I mean,
On the bright side, I
Mariska,
sort of have someone in my corner, I guess.
if anything, you should be thanking him for basically saving Zamnas.
I
Agreed.
mean, that's true.
He's not out just yet though. And
It's also true.
anyway, anything for a friend.
Hey, I mean, if he doesn't come out of this alive, I will kill him myself, I swear.
I mean, that sounds like a great idea for me until you realise that that's probably not going to go very well.
To be honest, I feel like if he doesn't make it out of any of this alive, I don't think any of us, myself included, are going to make it out of any of this alive. So, we can hope.
Will Cyril, after dropping the longbow so many times, the most I can do for you is turn into a lonely and grab you close.
I look forward to that.
Shall we go and rest for a bit then?
Mariska, when you're
Yes,
free,
rest with
we
me,
need
bro.
to speak.
Oh shit, okay.
I wonder what food is like here. Probably not eating is a good idea. I've heard plenty of stories about Fae and eating and things like that, and that not going very well.
You haven't felt the need to eat this entire time.
If you don't mind, Zell, I'd like to join along for that conversation.
No offense, but I think I do mind.
I'm going to be honest, I think I do mind as well. I'd kind of like him to be there, if that's not okay. He's literally my only warlock, so kind of a big deal. And also, I feel like I'm going to need the moral support, or what I'm pretty sure you're going to ask me.
Fine.
Okay,
You can come.
thanks. As she says that, you see down the hall, doors just doof, 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 open.
Shall
Is-
we?
Let's go.
Yep. What does it feel like when we're walking here? Is it still like the weird space distortion bullshit?
It feels
or
a
is it
little
just
bit
normal?
still weird space distortionness of like you're moving faster than you'd expect, but it doesn't feel too uncomfortable anymore. You guys all walk back down the hall you went, and there's several doors either side, and there is just a room of like double bed, nice room for each of you.
Nice. Well, I'm guessing we'll head to bed. It looks comfy. Haven't been in a bed in a while.
Yeah, let's go for it.
I believe Kames wanted to say something at one point.
Oh no, I thought it would. I didn't realize that the door opened by itself. I was
Yeah,
like, is something gonna happen? Or
No, the
Yeah.
door just opened by itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Before your character, like most of your characters end up going off to bed, then I assume, yes.
Mhm.
And then Mariska will just go. All right. So then, where do you want to have this conversation?
Wherever's private.
I mean, I don't know
Preferably.
if you're gonna find private in the goddess of the Shadowfell's
Follow me
realm
then.
or whatever.
And Zell just goes to whatever room she's picked.
Sure. You go to whatever room. Once you're all inside, the door closes behind you. So,
Zell clutches the talisman in one hand, and she looks like Mariska in the eyes with a intensity that she has never really shown anybody else, like anybody of the group that's been here. Mariska, is it possible for you to tell me exactly what you've done?
okay. So, Okay, fuck. Okay, I think it'd be better if rather than tell you, I showed you vaguely, if that makes sense.
If that's the best you can do, then that's the best you can do.
I have a friend. He's an old friend, I guess. Kind of. One of your friends actually knows him quite well, it seems. And I think he has the capability of doing that. But I think if I'm going to show you, I think it's better if I show all of you at once.
That's fair.
Okay. I'll be back. Shouldn't take me too long. Do you want to collect everybody else? So we can just get this over and done with then.
Mhm.
Okay.
Before Mariska poofs off, I just like kind of glance him a look of like everything okay.
I think it's better if you all experience this through their eyes a little bit. And I know he has the capability of doing that. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask him if I can. I know I fucked up. Kind of obvious. And the fuck up isn't gonna be very obvious when you guys are seeing what happened. But it will be obvious at the end. Okay? And then I'll tell you a bit more of my story afterwards. So I'm gonna go see a dragon about a thing. I'll be back. She poof disappears.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Are you collecting everybody?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You collect them all. She reappears and then goes, so the easiest way for this to happen is you all go to sleep, I think. It seems. He said that that's probably the easiest way since he can already contact one of you. I'll just have to use a bit of force to do it with the rest of you guys.
Right.
Okay. He stops for a second and then looks to Zell and goes, nothing I can do can take any of this back. Or any of the things that any of these people have done can take anything that happens in this story back. And I wish they could, because the world would probably be a hell of a lot better place if we could.
Mariska, less talking, please.
Well then.
I just kind of, before that, like, I just kind of like put a hand on Mariska's shoulder. I'm like, everybody has a past and was not always who they wished they could be.
Yeah. Alright then, well, off you pop to sleep, I guess. I'll go talk to him and see if I can help guide you through it a bit better. Well, that's all of you, by the way. Sleep, chance, whatever, I don't give a shit. Go.
Okay.
Okay.
Sleep.
All of you return to your respective rooms. Pass the fuck out. Trance, etc. As you do, you are all greeted in your dream by for some of you, for one of you, a familiar sight. For the rest of you, a not so familiar sight. You find a large red dragon with a small pipe and a monocle sat there in this large like mansion with a like floating on some clouds at the bottom. Like the clouds make up the floor of the mansion he's like existing in, and then there's a chair like floating on some clouds next to it. He kind of looks to all of you who appear around this chair and he goes, well, I wasn't really expecting all of you to be here quite so soon. I would have prepared more chairs. He kind of looks over and you see on his shoulder Mariska is sat there. I also wasn't expecting to have to tell you all this story just yet, but I guess that's where we are. this is going to be a tough one. And, not all of you are going to enjoy this. But it is what happened, and it's probably the most realistic of any of my stories, considering I lived through it. Now, in order for you to get the most authentic feeling on it, I've done my best to replicate what each of the, well, players in this little story were feeling and doing and how they did things. It's not completely accurate, but it's close enough. So, here we go with, fuck. This is going to be a tough one. This is the death of Nosdormu. And that is where we are going to end the session.
Oh, that's
What?
how you're gonna die.
That is
Oh.
a fucking cliffhanger.
So, next session, we are
It's
going
gonna be
to
the one shot.
Yeah, we're going to probably be preparing for the one-shot next session, and me telling you in-character stuff and a bunch of other stuff so you can play it a little bit better. The week after, then, we'll begin the one-shot, and it'll be a couple of
Wait,
weeks of one-shot.
is the one shot going to be the dream or the
Yes.
story?
The one-shot is going to be the
Well,
dream.
This feels
That's
very
fucking
natural.
dope.
It doesn't feel like we've just sort of gone to a one shot. There's actually been some nice setup to this.
Okay. Hooray! You made it!
Let's go.
Yay.
For now.
Made it.
Saving Private Zemnis.
Living private Zemnis.
Yeah.
Saving Private Zemnis.
I like how we went to Resmi, and now I feel like Loki. There's big tension between Zemnis and Zell, indirectly.
Yeah.
And I got killed. Fun.
Hmm?
You can say I've killed 2 characters now. Hey.
I now get the ability to take a story of my DM killed my character in an impossible fight for no reason.
Yeah, effectively, but it was more of a narrative fight because you
That was
told
a
me you
narrative fight,
wanted
yeah, no,
this,
that's
so
cool.
Lamau.
Still feel that
it-
was one of the fair
those the-
fights that we've had. Or that you've had.
Fuck's sake.
I'll be honest, when you first described it, I was fully expecting it to be like a chain devil, which would have been really mean. Because
Very mean.
that's a CR8, if I recall correctly.
Something like that, yeah.
Jesus
I mean,
Christ.
we don't know what CR this guy was. This guy could have been really high CR and just going easy on me.
I'm going to
Maybe.
be honest, based on the fact he had, like, I think I heard a +6 or a +5 to hit.
+7, I think.
Plus 7 in total, yeah.
Jesus.
Alright. With that, I'd
Which
also
is
like
one
to
less than Chain
mention,
Devil.
you all level up to level 5.
Hey.
So, do I have to take the level in
Let's
Paladin now,
go.
or can
Level
I
in
do
Paladin
it
or
later?
Elrigger, whichever one you want. But you have to take it now.
Rogue. Yeah, I mean, no, because I was just wondering. I'll go Paladin because I can't really go Ilriga now, can I?
No, you can still go Elrigger, it's fine. It's
Would
just,
it make thematic sense?
thematically, it's just vaguely, it's not going to be quite the same as it would seem lore-wise, but it's the same. If that
Hmm.
makes sense.
We got
Uh,
to the castle.
You've got multiple like weeks to decide on this, considering we're
Yeah.
going to be doing the one shot. So give it a decision, everybody. What you want to do? Let's you take your time with your level up. But we are here.
I mean, I need
level
to
5.
consider if I want to
No.
just go.
No fear. Give me terrible hit dice. Hell yeah! Wait,
so,
that's a reroll.
It is.
So I'd be rolling a D10 hit dice for either, right?
I believe so.
I
Oh.
feel so powerful.
Oh, I mean, I'm gonna take a level in Rogue for now, just because I can't
no,
actually
you
use
have
my.
to take a level in
Oh.
one of those 2 things now.
But oh man, I can't even use my fucking magic
Mhm.
item for another level, man. Okay.
Holy shit!
so
That's
it's a
okay.
D10
that's a 10. Nice.
That is the best I've rolled on him ever.
Okay, wait. It's time for the lowest HP person to roll.
Oh
It's
boy.
1d8. 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 Right.
I mean, I've been rolling
So
D8s.
Don't actually get anything this level except third level spells.
Okay, wait, what else do I get? Oh, nice, I got more.
Hey,
Wait,
I get
I'm
another
just
spell.
realizing
hey,
something.
Sekbei
Okay.
might have Revivify now. That's crazy.
Okay,
Yeah, I
are we ready?
do.
That'd be
Lowest
really-
HP character?
That would have been
Lowest
really
HP
useful.
character?
Like, fire
I
and
haven't-
sessions
I
again.
haven't-
Oh no!
You can re-roll a 1 or a 2. You can re-roll a 1 or a 2 once.
Oh, what in Sekbei's case? Oh, when Sekbei rolled a 2, right?
Yeah, it's a roll. You can
You
re-roll a
roll
1
the
or 2.
two, and then-
Jesus Christ!
I'd like to mention it amuses me greatly that the session Valis dies in is the one I get Revivify.
Do you know how
Yes.
much I have? 25 HP.
I have 43 now.
I've got 45.
James,
I've got
James could
37.
come up to me and
I
bonk.
don't know. Does Sekbei have any healing?
Yes.
Oh my god!
But
I
isn't
have
a revive.
invocation.
Yes.
Okay, I could just go. I'm tempted to just go Ilriga now for extra damage, but I need to work out what version
was
I'm
that
using.
twice.
Because there's like
I
20
am-
different
Yeah.
versions.
I am genuinely in the range where literally
You'd like to
everything
ask-
from now on can one-shot me.
This is Zemnis. Have you been adding your Constitution modifier to your health?
Pardon?
Have you been adding your Constitution modifier to your health when you've been doing it? Every level. So you roll the hit dice, and then you add your Constitution modifier, and that's the
Is
health
this-
you get on your level up.
Is this the point where we figure out that he hasn't been doing that, and that's why he died,
It's
and
only
that's
like
why we
one
had this?
per-
Oh
only like-
no!
In total, it would be like 4 extra points of health at this point. for
Yeah,
him.
it's
But-
4.
But
Okay,
that would
I
have
still-
literally saved you!
It wouldn't.
No,
It wouldn't have.
Because he would have just got hit the next turn.
Yeah,
and then
I
murdered
still-
again.
Didn't you say that
True.
the thing downed
didn't
you,
kill me
and
exactly.
if it rolled like a 1 less, it wouldn't have downed you?
No,
That was me.
That was
Oh.
him.
that was Sekbei.
Yeah.
With me, it like overkilled me by a couple, and I had like
Rage, can you
only
send
2
me
more than-
the version of Ilriga you're using? Because there's like 20 different.
I will attempt to do so. I'll probably have to do it on like OneDrive or something, but I will send it to you soon. For
Cool.
the fucking chat and people who are watching, we are going to. Oh, fuck's sake, my
Yes.
face is messed.
I
We
also
are
have to go.
indeed
So
going to go. So we'll catch you guys later,
I'll be off.
guys.
See ya. Thanks for
Bye-bye.
watching.
Bye.
bye.
See ya.
Bye bye.
Ooh.
Woo.